253 Yada Yahowah, Mow'ed, appointments. 5. Kipurym, reconciliations. At long last. Malachi chronicles the future fulfillment of Yowm Kipurym, documenting the story of Yahuwah's return to Yaruwshalaim, Jerusalem, to reconcile his relationship with Yisra'el and Yahuwdah. The prophet lays out the entire process from breakup to restoration, similar to what we find in the book of Hosea. For a marriage, or even a family relationship, to be reconciled, it must first be established, then, for whatever reason, it must be severed. At long last, the estranged parties must find a reason and way to come back together. The Mow'ed, eternal witness to the restoring appointment of Kipurym, reconciliations, is Yahuwah's means to accomplish this goal. Therefore, Malachi is devoted to narrating this process from beginning to end. He explains what caused the breakup, and then he delineates the consequence. The prophet, whose name means my messenger, paints a picture that associates God's predictions with the Torah's presentation of Yowm Kipurym, right down to the smallest linguistic details. Malachi describes the religious, cultural, political, and military milieu surrounding this reunion. He not only explains how God's children will change such that they are accepted, but he also presents the traits common to those who will mourn on this day so that we are not counted 254 among them. This riveting story begins with the messenger telling us that he is a scribe, taking dictation from God. The prophetic pronouncement, Massa, of the word, Dabar, the message of Yahuwah, a transliteration of Yahuwah, is instructed in his Towrah, teaching regarding his higher existence. 2. Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God, by the hand, Bar Yod, of Malachi, my spiritual representative messenger, from Malach, messenger. Malachi 1-1. I love you, Ahab Ethatam, my endearing affection for you is demonstrated by the desire for a close family relationship with you. Cal Perfect, says, Amar, Yahowah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God as guided by his Towrah, instructions regarding his higher existence. But, why you say, Amar, you question, in, Bar what way, Ma, when, why, and how, have you loved us, Ahab Anaknu, have you shown familial affection for us? Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1-2. It is subtle but real. This prophetic portrayal comes to us through the Yod, hand of my messenger, which means that it was not passed along to us orally. It was written to preserve the integrity of the message and so that we, 2,500 years thereafter, would be able to listen to God as if he were speaking directly to us. This declaration is lethal to the credibility of the New Testament, Talmud, and Quran. Jesus did not write a single word. Nothing he said was transcribed while he was speaking, or even within 3 decades of his time. We do not have a single word recorded in the language he spoke. The Talmud alleges oral transmission from 1447 BC to circa 500 CE when it was compiled. Not only is that inconsistent with God's standard procedure, but the 255 resulting tome was also written in the voice of rabbis who did not exist at the time. Muhammad was illiterate. Enough said. Yahuwah unambiguously stated his position relative to his people. God loves Yisrael. Ahab was conveyed in the Cal Perfect. This means that Yahuwah's expression of love was genuine but not continual. This does not dictate that Ahab must be rendered in the past tense any more than it has to be limited to sometime in the future. Hebrew verbs are not restricted in the sense of being constrained to the past, present, or future. Therefore, in the perfect conjugation, this expression of affection may have pertained to the patriarchs when the covenant was being formed or to Yisrael under David. In spite of his people's caustic response to him, Yahuwah may have been saying that he still loves his family, but with their current trajectory, his love will not last. Also, with an eye toward the day of reconciliations, Yahuwah may have been telling his people that a day would come when they will be lovable again. In the context of Yowm Kipurym, Yahuwah loving his people is only half of the equation. The question remains, what will it take for Yisrael to recognize and accept Yahuwah's devotion to the degree necessary to be capable of reciprocating his love? Without this appreciation, there is no way forward. With rare exceptions, the chosen people do not know when, how, or why Yahuwah has and will again demonstrate his commitment to his family. And frankly, that is inexcusable and embarrassing because he had his prophets provide these answers in writing. So why are we reading them, and acting upon them, rather than the people to whom they were given and intended? 256. The answer to that question is Judaism. The very thing rabbis use to define what they believe it means to be Jewish is precluding Yahuwdym from embracing their name, beloved of Yah. This inquiry was posed through the interrogatory Ma. It encourages us to contemplate the who, God, what, Yisrael, where, Yaruwshalaim, why, the covenant, how, by fulfilling the Mow'ed, and when, at any moment in time from Abraham to Kipurym in 2033, questions regarding the expression of Yahweh's love. Therefore, for this relationship with God to be reconciled, Israelites must learn the answers to these questions, acknowledge Yahweh's love, and then choose to love him in return. The religious in Israel have questioned and, worse, tested and tried God's love. And that is why Yahweh has them posing this question. It is one the overwhelming majority of Israelites still cannot answer. Yahweh's response to this question was ingenious. But to appreciate it, we need to know that as Jacob's twin, Esau, the firstborn, was in line to inherit the covenant promises Yahweh made to Abraham and to Abraham's son, Esau's father, Yitzhak. As the story unfolds, Esau relinquishes his inheritance for a temporal advantage and a quick meal. Then, because he abandoned God by choosing to marry Ishmael's daughter and adopt his religion, Esau was seen as having gone down the road from which there is no return. He and his descendants, today's Muslims and Christians, will forever be foes, not family. And it is the onslaught of Islamic terrorism and Christian antisemitism that Yahweh has promised to annihilate to save his children and land. God replied. 257 was not, Harlo, Esau, to act contentiously, commonly transliterated Esau, from asar, to do, act, engage and perform, and asak, to be contentious, hostile, and quarrelsome, a brother, of, Jacob, my stance, I grab the heel, commonly transliterated Jacob, from I and Akab, to receive a reward or suffer the consequences of circumventing or overreaching, digging in or embedding one's heels, sometimes walking in a sly and accusative manner. Asks, Naum, states with prophetic implications, Yahweh, God's name transliterated as guided by His Towrah, instructions on His higher existence and His role in Yaruwshalaim, reconciliation as Eloah, Almighty God. And yet, I have always loved, Ahabeth, I have consistently enjoyed a close, familial relationship with, imperfect, genuinely and continually without interruption shown affection for, Jacob, reward or consequence, Jacob, my stance, I grab the heel, Jacob, from Akab, to receive a benefit or suffer a penalty for circumventing and overreaching, digging in by being stubborn or embedding one's heels to be steadfast, often walking in a sly and accusative manner. Malachi 1-2. However, concerning, considering what is associated with, Esau, acting antagonistically, Esau, to act contentiously, Esau, from asar, to act, engage and perform asak, that which is contentious, hostile, and quarrelsome, I have hated and have shunned, saying, I have detested and abhorred, I loathed and intensely disliked because I could not endure with his perversions, perfect, God's hatred was or will be manifest for a limited time. I have caused, Wasim, that which is associated with, his elevated places, his power and influence, and his hills and mountains, to be lifeless and desolate, Shemoma, to be a sparsely populated and 258 devastated wasteland clothed in horror and ruin, and his inheritance to be, Nashalahu, his land and property, even his heritage by association, a wasteland of questionable words, Midbar, a desert for unsustainable statements, from Ma, to question and Debar, the word, for jackals and serpents, Tan. Monstrous beasts, pack animals, and omnivores and venomous snakes. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:3. God is drawing a contrast between Jacob and Esau. It is enduring love versus fleeting antagonism. It is the difference between living in the covenant as opposed to being estranged from God. Boys who began as brothers would come to represent Israel and her adversaries, whether they be Imperial Rome, Roman Catholicism, the European Union, or even someone with links to Islam. The dichotomy between Yitzhak's sons differentiates the chosen as opposed to the rejected, life or death, enlightenment or bewilderment, the promised land or desolation. While there are many paths that lead away from Yahweh, most share two things in common, both of which are conveyed in Esau. Religions are asar, works-based, and none have been more so than Judaism. It is so tedious, Haredim make their religion their life's work. And in Islam, a Muslim earns paradise by killing for Allah, earning extra virgins if their victim is a Jew. Rabbis epitomize what it means to be asark, contentious, hostile, and argumentative. Their Babylonian Talmud is comprised of quarrelsome religious arguments, whereby men express their enmity toward everything from the actual Torah to Yahweh's name, His Berith and Miqra'ey. Speaking of Esau, we would be remiss if we did not point out that, throughout the Quran, Jesus was presented as Issa, an Arabic transliteration of Esau. 259. While this mistake proves that the Quran was not inspired by God, it also strongly suggests that it was instigated by Satan. It is one thing to do as Christians have done, which is to give Daud a new name unrelated to anything in the prophets. It is another to rebrand the Passover lamb such that he is abhorrent. For the longest time, I have struggled with Yaakov's name. It has so few positive attributes. It is apparent why he was renamed Yisrael. He is in a way, truth or consequence, reward or failure, stubborn or steadfast. He circumvented his brother with a bit of cunning, which makes him either clever or conniving. During his life, he, as well as those he would come to represent, are both clever and conniving. Yisrael has been good and bad, albeit more stubborn than steadfast. The chosen people still represent those who engage and endure with God as well as individuals who struggle and strive against the Almighty. Love and hate are far more intertwined than most realize. This interdependency has been severed by political correctness, depriving us of a profound truth now lost on humankind. To genuinely Ahab those we claim to love, we will eventually have to say in others. Islam and Israel are incompatible, for example, as are Christianity and Judaism. For one to survive, the others must be destroyed. The Torah will always remain in opposition to the Talmud, New Testament, and Quran. To love the Word of God is to despise the others for contradicting Yahowah. One cannot support God's people while at the same time accommodating those who seek to annihilate them. Similarly, while Christian organizations occasionally reject anti-Semitism, their treatment of Jews over the past 1,700 years has been nothing short of appalling. To be compassionate and loving, to be moral and just, we must hate murder and mass murderers, terror and 260 terrorists, rape and rapists, pedophilia and pedophiles. In today's progressive societies, the problem isn't hatred but, instead, not realizing what and how to abhor. We should be like David and strive to protect those we love by opposing anyone or anything which would deliberately harm them. Since Esau is featured prominently as Issa in the Quran, and since he chose to associate with Ishmael, the forefather of Islam, we find fulfillment in Yahweh's prediction that his mountains would be desolate. The religion born among the hills surrounding Petra, and then moved for political reasons to Mecca, would be lifeless in either place. These deserts remain inhospitable, just as the Quran is replete with unsustainable statements. In this wasteland of words, only demonic beasts survive. This is the serpent's playground. But this is also true of the 7 hills of Rome. They, too, would be devastated, becoming a ruin upon which Roman Catholicism would rise. Soon, we will witness the Church's fate. In this comparison between Yaakov and Esau, let's reconsider something we discovered a few years ago which may shed some light on why Yahowah came to hate Yaakov's twin brother while loving Yisrael. The dichotomy between Abraham's grandsons defines the distinction between inclusion and exclusion, family and foe. Turning to the Torah, we read, "The first, Rishon, came out, Yatsa, ruddy and bloody red, Admoni, his entire nature, churl hue, similar to, Kar, who could be compared to, a hairy, seer, a bristling and dreaded, a fearful and horrible, tempestuous Roman Caesar with, and prestigious cloak, adereth, a robe of hair considered impressive, from Adia, the famous leaders who lord over great empires and 261a tread upon and trample, the legacy of Imperial Rome and the Roman Catholic Church. So, they called, Wakara, his name, Shemhu, Esau, the one who acts antagonistically and who engages in bloody things, Esau, to act contentiously, Esau, from Asar, to engage instituting and accomplishing a sark, that which is contentious, hostile, and quarrelsome, and Admoni, bloody red. Versith, Genesis 25:25. Without any hesitation, Achar, later, therefore, Ken, his brother, Ahu, came forth, Yatsa. And his hand, Yodhu, was firmly upon, Ahazbar, had taken hold of, Esau, the bloody antagonist's, heel, Achab. And so, his name, Shemhu, was called, Kara, Yaakov, reward or consequence, Yaakov, I grab the heel, Jacob, from Achab, to receive a benefit or suffer a penalty for circumventing and overreaching, being stubborn or embedding one's heels to be steadfast. Versith, Genesis 25:26. When the boys grew great, Gadol, Esau, the one who acts antagonistically, Esau, to act contentiously, Esau, from Asar, to engage instituting and accomplishing a sark, that which is contentious, hostile, and quarrelsome, and Admoni, bloody red, was, Haya, a man, who became known for, Yada, pursuing, capturing, and killing prey, Tade, a person, of the open and broad way, Sade, and Yaakov, stubborn or steadfast, Yaakov, I grab the heel, Jacob, from Achab, to receive a benefit or suffer a penalty for circumventing and overreaching, being stubborn or embedding one's heels to be steadfast, was a man, of integrity, ethical and correct, tam, moral and blameless, focused on being right, establishing a dwelling place, Yashab, camping, in tents, Ohel. Bersith, in the beginning, Genesis 25:27. 262 Not only was Imperial Rome the bloodiest, Admani, beast, red, Admani, in tooth and claw, no one was more destructive toward Yisrael. Further, all, Shurl, of the foremost leaders, Rishon, were Caesars, Seer, naming themselves after Julius, the hairy, Caesar in Latin. Rome was Seer, horrible and tempestuous, fearsome and dreaded, bristling and formidable. From the human perspective, men tend to aggrandize Imperial Rome, inferring that the empire was adereth, cloaked in glory and magnificent. Based upon this accounting, we are predisposed to juxtapose splendor and Rome. And let us never forget, the Caesar's legacy was the final beast, the Roman Catholic Church. It was predicted to adash, tread upon and trample down the whole world. If that were not enough to associate Esau with Rome, consider why the man Yahweh grew to hate was described similarly to Nimrod, as a man who prized killing. As king of Babel, Babylon, he gave rise to the beast which evolved into Imperial Rome and Roman Catholicism. No nation has ever been as deadly as Rome. The empire made pursuing, capturing, and killing men its national pastime, and even celebrated it in their Colosseum. Further, the Roman religion, which was an amalgamation of Babel and the Bible, came to epitomize the broad and open way of Christianity. We may be the first to make these essential connections between what God loves and hates by analyzing how differently Yitzhak's sons were presented. Moreover, Paul would take this conflict to a new level in the Christian New Testament by claiming in his letter to the Romans that the government of Rome had authority over everyone, including Yisra'el and Yahuwdym. 263 Therefore, until proven otherwise, we are going to view Esau, the one who acts antagonistically, as a synonym for Imperial Rome and Roman Catholicism, as well as what grew out of and was influenced by both, the European Union, European culture, and Pauline Christianity. And then, of course, Esau is also known for his connections to Islam because he would ultimately ally with Ishmael. While arrogance is the hallmark of Islam, an unjustified sense of self-importance should also be attributed to Imperial Rome and Roman Catholicism. Each is convinced that their God and religion are superior, and that they will conquer and rule the earth. Further, based upon their delusional claims and God's response, especially at this time, our assessments seem to be validated. If, Adown, the bloody Red Lord, the descendants of Esau, representing the antagonism of Imperial Rome and Roman Catholicism along with its connection to Islam, the region between the Dead and Red Seas and east into Arabia, from adown, bloody red and hairy, spread far and wide, and adown, Lord, says, Amar, protests, we have been beaten down and impoverished, Rasas, we have been battered and shattered, and yet, we will recover, Shu, we will come back, and we will rebuild, Banar, upon the ruins. Harabah, from the rubble and depopulated area which was destroyed. Then this is what, Yahowah, a transliteration of, our Eloah, God has directed in His Towrah, teaching regarding His higher existence, of the assembled spiritual envoys. Zaba, says, Amar, they may choose to build, Hembanar, they may want to reconstruct and be restored, Kal imperfect Jussiv, expressing an actual and continual desire to build in the third person. But, I will demolish and leave 264 them in ruins. Any Harris, I, myself, will tear them down and destroy them, annihilating them. Then they will be called, Wakara Lahem, the land, Gwal, a region and territory, of the uncivilized and wicked, Risha, of the unethical and Torahless. They are the people, Am, with whom, for the benefit of the relationship, Asher, Yahowah, written as directed by His Towrah, teaching, has denounced and scolded, Zam, has angrily demonstrated his justifiable indignation and displeasure, as an enduring witness, into perpetuity, for an unlimited duration of time, Olam, forevermore. Malachi, Messenger, Malachi 1:4. Edom is going to be beaten down and impoverished, battered and shattered. Then oblivious to the cause of their decline, they are going to need an attitude adjustment for falsely claiming that they will rebuild. The fall of Edom could be a result of allowing millions of Muslims to migrate into the European Union, bringing Islam with them, which is the reason they were forced to flee the Middle East in the first place. It could be the lockdowns and deprivations of freedoms and livelihoods throughout the continent, as a result of the overbearing response to COVID-19, which has devastated Europe. Or, considering the timing, the modern manifestation of Edom may be in ruins for having orchestrated the two-state solution, which, as was the case with Neville Chamberlain ceding Czechoslovakia to the Nazis, will lead to World War. Europe will be caught in the crossfire as Russia and China side with Iran and against the United States and Europe. recognizing that this is taking place during the time of Jacob's troubles, and thus after 2027 at the earliest. Who might this be if not the nations descended from 265 Imperial Rome and the continent which gave rise to Roman Catholicism, especially now that they are mortally infected with Islam? In all of recorded history, no nation or religion has been as hostile to God's people as Imperial Rome and the Roman Catholic Church. If ever something was worthy of Harris, being torn down and left in ruins, it is the legacy of Adown. From God's perspective they are worth psalm, scolding and denouncing because they have earned the epithet, Gul Risha, the land of the unethical and uncivilized. It isn't just their cultural arrogance and political liberalism, their wholesale ingestion of Islam, or their draconian approach to a virus, not even their rising tide of antisemitism, and support of the Fakestinians, which earns the modern manifestation of Adown this caustic eulogy. It is also derived from Rome's 3 bloody assaults on the Promised Land, destroying the temple so that they could fund the construction of the Colosseum, and more than anything, the antagonistic affliction the Roman Catholic Church brought upon Jews. Yahweh's animosity toward Esau, and thus Edom, is not only unique, but it is also uncompromisingly harsh. This is partly because Edom indicates that these people have chosen to associate with Adown, the Lord who is Satan. Unfortunately, this does not mean that Yisrael understood any of this or was even listening at the time. It will not be until after Yahweh thwarts the European and Catholic objectives, and denounces them, that Yisrael will finally take notice. Malachi reports, "Then your eyes, Wah and Atom, will see, Ra, and you shall say, Atom Amar, great is, Gadol, honorable, Yahweh, Yahweh, a transliteration of, our Eloah, God has directed in His Towrah, teaching regarding His higher existence, from beyond 266 min Allah, the boundaries, Gvul, the territory, land, and region, of Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God." Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:5. Better late than never. And you will notice, this announcement is post-rabbinical oppression because the people will cite Yahweh's name. This point was not lost on God. A son, Ben, values and respects, Kebed, admires and appreciates the significance of and cares about, his father, Abhu, and a servant, Ebed, a slave, his lord and master, Adown, his owner. So, Wah, if, upon the condition that, I am a father, Ab Eni, where, Ayah, is my respect and appreciation, Kebed Eni, my caring and admiration. And if the assumption is made that, Wah, under the contrary implication exists that, I am a lord, Adown Eni, I am a controlling master and overbearing owner, why don't you fear me, Ayamora Eni, why aren't you terrorized by me? Says, Amar, Yahowah, Yahowah, of the spiritual regiment, Zaba, to you, La Atom, the ministers and clerics, Harkohen, the priests and religious officials, who despise, Bazar, who show contempt for, disregard, and devalue, even pillage and plunder, my name, Shem Eni, personal and proper name and reputation. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:6. Ouch. This cuts right to the heart of Judaism where Yahweh's name is plundered from His Torah and removed from every aspect of Jewish life as if they were embarrassed to be Yahuwdym. As Hashem or Adoni, God is not their father. And yet, being complete hypocrites, they feel free to go off on their own, setting their own rules, something the slaves of a lord would never contemplate. 267 Of particular interest here is the juxtaposition of the fall and denunciation of Down and the discrediting of the notion that God is a lord in that Edom and Adown share the same root. So, in a way, this is a play on words. The besmirched and denounced of Edom shared an affinity with Adown, the Lord, so Yahweh is inferring that the Israelites are showing more respect for the Lord than they are for His name. He was demonstrating that they are not only being unfaithful, but they are also hypocrites. Throughout these many books, I have routinely stated that the religious claim justifying replacing Yahuwah's name with Adown, the Lord, is asinine and insulting. It was not done out of respect for it as they protest. Yahweh knows better, which is why He unambiguously stated that rabbis do so because deep down they bazar Shem, despise the name. They see Yahweh as contemptible. So you say, Wa ma, in what way, Ba ma, have we shown contempt for and disregarded, even more, pillaged and plundered, bazar, despised, scorned, ridiculed, and devalued, your name, Eth Shemota? Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:6. It is one thing to have committed the single deadliest, and most debilitating crime in human history, worse than the Roman sack of Jerusalem and worse than the Holocaust, that of removing Yahweh's name from His Towrah wa Nabi, but it is more appalling still for rabbis to pretend that they are not expressly culpable. And yet, that is precisely what God is saying by having chosen this wording. And let's be honest, Had rabbis not removed Yahweh's name from his testimony, replacing it with adown, there would have been no Christianity nor Islam. They would have been unable to convey the myths that 268 Jesus or Allah were gods. Jews would have remained Yahuwdym and continued to be beloved by Yah and thus protected by him. Had Yahweh's name not been plundered by the rabbis, it is safe to say that Rome would have been kept at bay as would have the Nazis, just as a return to the Torah prevented the Assyrians from sacking Yaruwshalaim. Such a simple concept: do not think that you are smarter than God and change his testimony, and especially not his name. According to the third of three statements Yahweh etched in stone on the first of the two tablets, the crime is unforgivable, and, therefore, rabbis will endure an eternity in Sheol, even though they claim the place does not exist. They have ravaged more Jewish lives than Romans, Catholics, Muslims, and Nazis combined. Everything about rabbinic Judaism is wrong. So Yahweh answers by telling the religious that their offerings are unclean and defiled. They have been sacrificing the blind and lame, which is to say that their religious rituals are not only worthless and annoying, they are counterproductive and debilitating, harming those who might otherwise have been healed. For a relationship to be reconciled, it must first be broken. With this verse, and the one which follows, both of which were directed squarely at the religious community, it's clear that the covenant relationship was estranged, even shattered, by them presenting, nigash, approaching by offering, defiled and rotten bread, lechem gal, unacceptable and decomposing food which is polluted, upon my altar, al-mizbeach. But you say, Wa ma, in what way, Ba ma, have we defiled and stained you, Gal otter, have we polluted you and made you unacceptable? 269 By you inferring, Ba ma atom, that which has been furnished and appointed, Hu shulkan, that the table and furnishings, from Shalak, that which has been presented and acknowledged, directed and established, by Yahweh, written as directed by his Torah, teaching, is of no value, bizarre hue, is contemptible and despicable, subject to diminishment and being disregarded. Malachi 1-7. When you influence and oppress, wanaj, when you engage and extract payment from, gather together, and present those you are manipulating, then sacrifice, zabak, the ignorant and blind, Ewa, is that not wrong, Ein Ra, is that not undesirable and harmful, unethical and immoral? And then when you lord over and exploit, Waky Nagas, when you act like tyrants over, influencing and oppressing, pass over along with those who should have benefited from Pesach, especially those you have afflicted and diseased, Shula, the ill, weak, and wounded, is that not wrong, Ein Ra, is that not undesirable and harmful, unethical and immoral? Try that approach with your governor, Karab Hunar La Atom. Will he accept you, Haratzorta, or, oh, will he endure your presence, Nasa Panota? Asks, Amar, Yahowah, of the spiritual messengers, Zaba. Malachi 1-8. And yet now, Wa Otter, you beg and plead, Na, imploring for intercession and favor, Shila, beseeching the intervention, at the appearance, Pana, in the presence, of God, El, have mercy on us, Shannon and Akyu, show pity, ingratiate yourself to us and be generous. With this being a result of your influence, Min your atom higher Joth, will there be anyone among you, even in your presence, lifted up or raised, Harnasa min atom 270 Pana, will there be a reason for any of you to ascend to a higher realm? Asks, Amar, Yahweh of the heavenly implements, Yahowah Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1-9. Shulkan, rendered, that which has been furnished and appointed, is typically truncated to table. However, I see far more in the word since its actionable root is shalak, that which has been presented and acknowledged, directed and established by Yahweh. The religious assault on God includes his words in addition to what is set upon his table. According to Yahweh, the religious among his people have made a mockery of Passover and unyeasted bread. And all one has to do to verify the accuracy of God's assessment is to examine the religious practices prescribed by the rabbis. Matzah has been relegated to an ingredient, and is no longer observed as a mikra. The Seder plate looks like it was prepared by Cain, not Abel. The rabbinical approach is esteemed while Yahweh's table is disrespected. So how is it that Yahweh should save them when they have disregarded and disdained his means to salvation? There is something far worse, however, than overlooking Yahweh's Torah, instructions. Here, God is accusing religious Jews of Naj, influencing their own in an oppressive way, even of extracting payment from them in the process of Zabak, sacrificing the Ewa, ignorant and blind. Yahweh is accusing rabbis of Nagas, lording over and exploiting Pesach, Passover, which is exactly what they have done. And then Yahweh condemns it as Ra, immoral and unethical. The Almighty even states that the religious community shows more respect for their government than they show God, and yet it is God to whom they beg for favors. 271 However, Yahweh tells them that based on what they have done, when he appears, he will turn a deaf ear to their begging. They can bob their heads and pray all they want, but it will be to no avail. It has always been to no avail. Rabbinic prayers are effective in only one way: they demonstrate that the religious are idiots. There will be none among those playing religious dress-up ascending to heaven. Good riddance. Everything associated with Yahweh's 7 Miqra'ey is designed to convey a message so that we come to understand the path home God has delineated and enabled. But when they are corrupted and changed, when substitutions are preferred, and when they are performed as opposed to observed, they become worthless. Why is there none among you, my Gambar Atom, who will shut the doors, Wasagar Deleth, so that you do not continually illuminate, while lo or, would not shine light upon, my altar, my speech any, in vain, without reason and to no avail, Chinam, so improperly, irrationally, and ignorantly. There is nothing desirable in your approach to me, Ein Lion Bar Atom, I find nothing which is acceptable or pleasing with you, says, Amar, Yahweh of the heavenly implements, Yahuwah Zaba. I will not accept, while lo Ratza, an offering, Mincha, anything given or bestowed, from your hand or that which you have influenced, Min Yod Atom. Malachi, Messenger, Malachi 1:10, not 1. This same regret is echoed throughout the prophets. There has not been a single, solitary Jew willing to shut the door on rabbinic Judaism. And all this time, the enlightenment they have provided has all been for naught. God is calling the rabbis Chinam, vain, irrational, and ignorant. There is 272 nothing in the religious approach to God that Yahweh finds acceptable. It is little wonder that the religious prefer the Babylonian Talmud to Yahweh's Torah and Nabi. But it is mind-boggling that in all of this time not a single Jew, not one, had the good sense and courage, even the compassion, to shut the rabbis up by exposing the chosen people to the word of God. Far more Jews will die as a result of rabbinical malfeasance than were killed by the Egyptians, Philistines, Assyrians, Babylonians, Greeks, Romans, Roman Catholics, Muslims, and Nazis. We have met the enemy, and he is wearing a kippah. As a result, upon his return, there will not be a single Haredim around to witness this glorious sight. Indeed, KY, as a point of emphasis, from Min, the sunrise in the east, Mizrat Shemesh, and to as far as and beyond, Wa'ad, into perpetuity, its pathway toward the horizon, Humebo, its sunset, any, name, Shem, will be great, Gadol, distinguished and majestic, exceedingly important, powerful, and magnifying, promoting growth, among the Gentiles, Bar HaGoim, and in every home, Wa Bar Shel Makam, in every place and dwelling where the means to rise up and take a stand is pondered, where a fire is kindled, Makatar. Where a hearth burns, from Ma, to ponder the implications of Qatar, joining together once the pests are removed, to draw near and come together, Nigash, to step forward and approach, in connection with my name, La Shemeni. Then, Wa, the purifying gift, Mincha Tahawa, an offering devoid of foreign particles or impurities, of my exceedingly important and empowering name, Ky Gadal Shemeni, will be within and among the Gentiles, Bar HaGoim, says, Amar, Yahweh of the heavenly 273 implements, Yahuwah Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:11. Religious Jews and their esteemed rabbis disavow Yahweh's name, but that has not stopped some Goim from embracing it and wearing it proudly, myself among them. So while the covenant was initially presented to Noach and offered to Abraham, Yitzhak, and Jacob, it has always been available to others. Now, so that Goim do not gloat at Israel's expense, for most of the past 2,500 years, there has not been a single Goy willing to engage either. That all changed, however, in the fall of 2001, when Yahweh invited a lone chota to serve with him to do as Yasher and Yirmiah, as Zachariah and Malachi, and especially as Dowd and Eliah had done, condemn the religious while extolling the virtues of the Torah. Where there were none, there was one, and now many. However, so long as the chosen people continue to believe their rabbis, they will be excluded from the covenant. Having forfeited their inheritance by leaving the door wide open, Yahweh's home has been made available to Goim. From sunrise to sunset and beyond, Yahweh's name will remain great, distinguished and important, magnifying and empowering. Or stated otherwise, the rabbis are wrong. The religious have robbed Yahuwdym of his identity, replacing the name and relationship with themselves and their religion. The Gentiles, among whom Yahweh's name is emblazoned, kindle a fire for God. Around the hearth of their homes, they join together with their heavenly Father. They have risen up and taken a stand where others have bowed to pray. They have Makatar, pondered the implications of removing the pests and parasites and are now Negash, drawing near, coming together with 274 Yahweh. As a result, Yahweh's Minsha Towrah, purifying gift is within them, and that gift is nothing other than God's name. It is not the way it should have been, and it is not the way Yahweh intended. Yisrael was chosen, not Yowm. The covenant was cut with Israel, not Gentiles. Yahweh spoke through Yahuwdym and wanted them to be a shining example for the rest of us. But with their religion, Jews have snuffed out God's flame, so Yahweh invited others to kindle it and carry it forward. And now it is our turn to reawaken the lost tribes of Yisrael. Yahweh's name, us knowing it, using it, revering it, respecting it, and recognizing what it means and stands for, is more important to him, and to our inclusion and renewal, than anything. It is where our relationship with God begins. Yada Yahowah. Mizrach can mean sunrise in the east, as it is translated above, or the East Gate, which was walled up by the Muslims in 810 CE, reopened in 1102 by the Crusaders, and then sealed again by the warlord Saladin in 1187 CE. But it will be opened, albeit briefly, upon Yahweh's return. Based upon Mayan Zarek, Mizrach also conveys, to contemplate the who, what, where, why, when, and how of coming forth such that we arrive and shine. Further, Mizrach is the place seeds are sown, which is Yisrael generally and Yaruwshalaim specifically. In addition, Mizrach describes a winnowing tool used to throw threshed grain into the air to separate the chaff from the grain. As such, it provides a visual picture of God separating worthless souls from those who are valuable to him. Shemesh is both sun and brilliance. As such, it is a perfect depiction of Yahweh's intent for his children. It 275 is the shining example God anticipated that his people would provide. Also, while the primary definition of Mabo is entrance or arrival, it is accurately rendered as pathway toward the horizon. In this case, it is describing the march of time since Adam lived in Eden, and since the subsequent dawning of the covenant, until our return to the garden as the sun sets on the human experiment. Further, it is Yahweh's arrival as light on the day his name becomes great, to which this prophecy has been alluding. Before we contemplate where Yahweh said that his name would be exceedingly important in the next statement, we should examine 6 additional words: Makaum, Makatar, Nigash, Minsha, Towrah, and Gadol. Makaum means home, dwelling place, and residence. It is more than a place because it speaks of Gawim Makaum, rising up and taking a stand on behalf of Yahweh's name. Makatar is commonly rendered as burning incense. It is from Ma, to contemplate, and Katar, which is where a fire is kindled, especially within the hearth of a home. It also addresses the idea of joining together once the pests are removed. In these ways, it is symbolic of camping out during the Miqra'ey, cooking our food over an open flame, and gathering around the hearth of our home enlightened and warmed by the fire. It even speaks of Yahweh cleansing the world of the religious so that his children can abide in peace. These etymological connotations are important because the third keyword, Nigash, means to draw near and come together, stepping forward to approach Yahweh. In this respect, Nigash is identical to Karab, which serves as the operative word in the Kara, Leviticus 23:27 passage, which forms the foundation of God's 276 instruction regarding Yowm Kipurym. There is an obvious connection between this statement and, your soul shall respond and answer, Anna, reply to the summons, making a declaration after engaging in thought, vocally communicating, appearing before, Karab, coming close and drawing near, being present with, the feminine manifestation of God's elevating light, Isha, to approach Yahweh. 4th and 5th, we find that Yahweh's name is Minsha Towrah, the purifying gift, representing an offering which voids us of foreign particles and impurities. Consistent with his declaration in Yirmiyah, Jeremiah 31, God is writing his name on the hearts of his covenant children, but, in this case, adopted Gawim. Lastly, Gadol, which was rendered as exceedingly important and empowering, is presented as a noun in most lexicons, but it is clearly being used here as part of a verb clause. I say that because Gadol is based upon Gadol, which is the Hebrew verb meaning to be nourished so as to grow, being empowered and magnified, able to do great things. By receiving Yahweh's name, these very things are kindled in our midst. So that you are aware of what others have said, here is the JPS, Jewish Publication Society, rendition of the verse 11, for from where the sun rises to where it sets, my name is honored among the nations, and everywhere incense and pure oblation are offered to my name, for my name is honored among the nations, said the Lord of hosts. NASB, New American Standard Bible, version of this prophecy, for from the rising of the sun, even to its setting, my name will be great among the nations, and in every place incense is going to be offered to my name, and a grain offering that is pure, for my name will be great among the nations, says the Lord of hosts. That's not very good, but it could be worse. 277 Consider the NLT, New Living Translation, but my name is honored by people of other nations from morning till night. All around the world they offer sweet incense and pure offerings in honor of my name. For my name is great among the nations, says the Lord of heaven's armies. Or will be honored. Or will offer. It's little wonder the New Living Translation misses the connection between this prophetic pronouncement and Yowm Kipurym, as the day of reconciliations as presented in Kara 23. Their preference is for it to speak of them and their church. Professor Tremper Longman III, the biblical scholar credited with translating Malachi for the NLT, began his Old Testament studies class at Westmont College with, and I quote, Leviticus, why bother? Since Yahweh bothered to tell us, let's take Tremper Longman to task for his erroneous paraphrase. First, there is no wa at the beginning of the passage and thus no justification for but. It begins with ky, which means indeed, this is true and reliable, which he neglected to translate. Third, the Hebrew words for my name are the 10th and 11th in the sentence, not the 2nd and 3rd. But since Professor Longman doesn't seem to know Yahweh's name, I'm not surprised that he would try to distance my name from his name. Fourth, Gadol means exceedingly important and empowering, even great, but not honored or will be honored. Fifth, bar means in or among, even with, but not by. Sixth, the Hebrew word for people is am, but it isn't in the passage. Seventh, there is no textual basis for of other in the words Yahweh selected. Eighth, while Yowm can be translated as nations, its primary definition is Gentiles. Fortunately, Professor Longman translated min correctly as from, so give credit where credit is due. 278. But ninth, the Hebrew word for morning is boker, and while it is used 182 times, it cannot be found in this verse. 10th, shemesh is in the passage, but Tremper ignored it. 11th, the Westmont College Old Testament professor didn't seem to notice, or care about, the inclusion of Mizrach, which means sunrise in the east. But to his credit, till is an acceptable, albeit inadequate, rendering of ad, which more appropriately, is an enduring and restoring witness. 12th, he ignored the conjunction wa, connecting Mizrach and Mabo. 13th, the Hebrew word for night is Lael, and while it is used 233 times in the Tanakh, it isn't in this sentence. 14th, the professor ignored the Hebrew pronoun hu, meaning it or his. 15th, he also disregarded Mabo, denoting the pathway toward the horizon. 16th, the Hebrew term for around, cannot be found in this verse. 17th, there is no textual basis for the world in God's statement either. 18th, the second inclusion of Gawim, meaning Gentiles, was ignored by Professor Longman. 19th, the translator didn't translate makam, which means home, a place to arise and take a stand. He added the pronoun they, without textual support, for his 20th error. 21st, nigash means draw near and come together, to step forward and approach, not offer. Mukhtar can be translated as incense, but doing so makes no sense within this context. There is no justification, however, for sweet, which represents the professor's 22nd deviation from Yahweh's word. Moreover, he missed the message of Makatar, where a fire is kindled in the hearth of a home, burning brightly. The fact that it is a compound of ma, to ponder the implications of katar, joining together once the pests are removed was lost on the biblical scholar as well. 279. To be fair, it isn't inaccurate to render tahara and minna pure offerings, but, translating them as a purifying gift, minsha tahara, an offering devoid of foreign particles or impurities, would have been more accurate. Further, while the sentence order was shifted once again, my name is an accurate translation of the Hebrew contraction of Shemeni. But that's the end of the good news. Repeating an error for his 23rd mistake in this one statement, the translation of Gadol as honor remains inaccurate and incomplete. And what's particularly odd, the one time Longman renders Gadol accurately as great, the word isn't actually there. Yahweh repeats it twice, not thrice. It was his 24th deviation from the Hebrew text he was allegedly translating. In the context of a passage whose purpose is to explain how astonishingly important Yahweh's name is to our relationship with him, the translator's most grievous and obvious error is the substitution of Satan's title, the Lord, for Yahuwah. While it was Longman's 25th mistake in a passage just 30 words long, a 15% accuracy rate, this blunder was the very thing that caused Yahweh to be so angry with the religious community. They had disrespected and devalued God's name, just as Tremper Longman and his New Living Translation had done. Normally, I wouldn't expose the incompetence of someone as lowly as a religious studies professor, but this fellow went out of his way to mislead his students. And with great regularity he bragged about the role he played in the creation of the rubbish known as the NLT, so it is only fair to credit him personally. I'm not a scholar nor a theologian, but I'd bet my life that this is more accurate and meaningful. 280 Indeed, ky, as a point of emphasis, from, min, the sunrise in the east, Mizrach Shemesh, and to as far as and beyond, wa'ad, into perpetuity, its pathway toward the horizon, humebo, its sunset, my, any, name, Shem, will be great, Gadol, distinguished and majestic, exceedingly important, powerful, and magnifying, promoting growth, among the Gentiles, Bar-ha-Gawim, and in every home, Wa-bar-shel-makam, in every place and dwelling where the means to rise up and take a stand is pondered, where a fire is kindled. Ma-katar, where a hearth burns, from ma, to ponder the implications of katar, joining together once the pests are removed, to draw near and come together, nigash, to step forward and approach, in connection with my name, la shemeni. Then, wa, the purifying gift, minsha tahawah, an offering devoid of foreign particles or impurities, of my exceedingly important and empowering name, ky gadol shemeni, will be within and among the Gentiles, Bar-ha-Gawim, says, Amar, Yahweh of the heavenly implements, Yahuwah Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:11. The reason it is Gawim, not Yahuwdym, sharing Yahweh's testimony with you is largely because, and yet you, wa atom, defile and profane it, chol eth you treat it with contempt and desecrate it, staining it in an unacceptable way, with your declarations when you say, ma atom, I am the Redeemer, the one who delivers, any gal, I am the new Lord and Master who has acquired the rights to, that which has been set forth and appointed, Hu Shulkan, the table and furnishings, from Shalak, that which has been presented and acknowledged, directed and established, by the Lord, Adonai, the Sovereign and Master. 281 But this produces, Wanib Hu, this yields, that which is ruinous and destructive when consumed, Akal, despised and vile, Bazar Hu, it is contemptible and worthless. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:12. Just as rabbis are guilty of plundering Yahweh's name, they have profaned his words. If they ever had any legitimacy, I would say that they have overstepped their bounds, but they have none. Their entire existence is a sham, a complete fraud, one which God sees as ruinous and destructive. Yahweh despises them and sees them as vile. Wake up, Yisrael. Listen, Yahuwdym. Rabbis do not speak for Yahweh. They play no part in anyone's redemption. They are all egotistical liars. Their Lord is not God. For the benefit of the unorthodox, Yahweh wrote in advance of Yowm Kipurym. This is the prophetic pronouncement, Massa, of the word, Dabar, the message of Yahweh, Yahuwah, to, El, Yisrael, Yisrael, by the hand, Bar Yod, of Malachi, Malachi. Malachi 1:1. I love you, Ahab eth atom, says, Amar, Yahweh, Yahuwah. But, why, you question, Amar, in, wah, what way, ma, have you loved us, Ahab Anaku? Was not, ha lo Esau, a brother, Ach of, la, Jacob, Jacob? Asks, Naam, states with prophetic implications, Yahweh, Yahweh. And yet, wah, I have always loved, Ahabeth, Jacob, reward or consequence, Jacob. Malachi 1:2, however, wah, concerning, Esau, acting antagonistically, Esau, I have hated and have shunned, saying. 282 I have caused, wasim, that which is associated with, his elevated places, Hahu, to be lifeless and desolate, Shemoma, and his inheritance to be, Nashalahu, a wasteland of questionable words, Midbar, for jackals, serpents, and monstrous beasts, Tan. Malachi 1:3. If, ky, Edom, the bloody red lord of Imperial Rome and Roman Catholicism, Edom, says, Amar, we have been beaten down and impoverished, Rasas, and yet, wah, we will recover, Chu, and we will rebuild, Wabanar, upon the ruins, Harabah, then this is what, Yahweh, Yahweh, of the assembled spiritual envoys, Zaba, says, Amar, they may choose to build, Hembanar, but, wah, I will demolish them and leave them in ruins, any Haras. Then they will be called, Wakara Lahem, the land, Guul, of the uncivilized and wicked, Risha. They are the people, Waha-am, with whom, for the benefit of the relationship, Asher, Yahweh, Yahweh, has denounced and will scold, Zam, as an enduring witness, Ad, for an unlimited duration of time, Olam. Malachi 1:4. Then your eyes, Wah and Atom, will see, Ra, and you shall say, Atom Amar, great and honorable is, Gadol, Yahweh, Yahweh, from beyond, Min Allah, the boundaries, Gul, of Yisrael, Yisrael. Malachi 1:5. A son, Ben, values and respects, admires and appreciates, Kebed, his father, Abhu, and a servant, Ebed, his lord and master, adown. So, if, I am a father, any, where, is my respect and appreciation, Kebed any. And if the assumption is made that, I am a lord, adown any, why don't you fear me, Amora 283 any. Asks, Yahowah, of the spiritual regiment, Zaba, of you, La Atom, the ministers and clerics, Harkohen, who despise and plunder, Bazar, my name, Shem any. So you say, in what way, have we shown contempt for and disregarded, even more, pillaged and devalued, Bazar, your name, Shemota. Malachi 1-6. By presenting, Negash, defiled and rotten bread, unacceptable and decomposing food which is polluted, Lechem Gal, upon my altar, my speech any. But you say, in what way, have we defiled and stained you, causing you to appear unacceptable, Gal otter? By you inferring, atom, that which has been furnished and appointed, by Yahowah, is of no value and should be disregarded, Bazar Malachi 1-7, when you influence and oppress, extracting payment through manipulation, Wanaj, then sacrifice, Zabak, the ignorant and blind, Ewa. Is that not wrong, Ein Ra? And then when you lord over and exploit, Ky Nagas, Passover along with those who should have benefited from Pesach, especially those you have afflicted and diseased, Shelah, the ill, weak, and wounded. Is that not wrong, undesirable, unethical, and immoral, Ein Ra? Try that approach with your governor, Karab Na La'atam. Will he accept you, Haratzota, or, will he endure your presence, Nasa Panota? Asks, Yahowah, of the spiritual messengers, Zaba. Malachi 1-8. And yet now, Otter, you beg and plead, imploring for intercession and favor, Shelah, at the 284 appearance, Panah, of God, have mercy on us, Channon and Akdu. With this being a result of your influence, Min Yod Atom Hayajoth, will there be anyone among you, even in your presence, lifted up or raised, Harnasa Min Atom Panah? Asks, Yahowah of the heavenly host, Yahowah Zaba. Malachi 1-9. Why is there none among you, my Gambar Atom, who will shut the doors, Wasagar Deleth, so that you would not continually illuminate, Walo or, my altar, my speech any, in vain, without reason, and to no avail, so improperly, irrationally, and ignorantly, Chinam. There is nothing desirable in your approach to me, nothing which is acceptable or pleasing with you, Ein Laani Chefetz Bar Atom, says, Yahowah of the heavenly implements, Yahowah Zaba. I will not accept, Walo Ratza, an offering, Mincha, from your hand or that you have influenced, Min Yod Atom. Malachi 1:10. Indeed, Ky, from, Min, the sunrise in the east, Mizrak Shemesh, and to as far as and beyond, Wa'ad, into perpetuity, its pathway toward the horizon in the west at sunset, Humebo, my, any, name, Shem, will be distinguished and important, magnifying and empowering, Gadol, among the Gentiles, Bar Hargawim, and in every home, Wabar Shurl Makaum, where a fire is kindled, Makatar, to draw near and come together, Negash, in connection with my name, La Shemeni. Then, the purifying gift, Mincha Tahawah, of my exceedingly important name, Ky Gadal Shemeni, will be within and among the Gentiles, Bar Hargawim, says, Yahowah of the heavenly implements, Yahowah Zaba. Malachi 1:11. 285 And yet you, Atom, defile and profane it, treating it with contempt, Chol Ethu, with your declarations when you say, Atom, I am the Redeemer, the one who delivers, the new Lord and Master, having acquired the rights to, any Gal, that which has been set forth and appointed, Hu Shulkan, by the Lord, Odani. But this produces and yields, Neb Hu, that which is ruinous and destructive when consumed, Akal, despised and vile, Bazar Hu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 1:12. If you have chosen to become unorthodox, you have left hell. Heaven awaits. Come out of the darkness of Judaism, and into the light of Yahowah's words. Leave the family of man and enter the covenant with God. Few things are as difficult as leaving a cult, but this is what we must do if we are to engage with God. And there is no cult more insular than ultra-Orthodox Judaism. Burned by Goum religions, political schemes, and conspiracies, religious Jews have cocooned themselves, isolating themselves from the outside world to stem the abuse. And yet the worst possible outcome has occurred. Jews are now controlled, degraded, and abused by their own. Their taskmasters are now rabbis. Their mere aim is Hasidism. Consider how angry Yahweh is with those who have claimed the mantle of the Kohen for themselves. So then, wa otter, now, this stipulation, ha-mitzvah ha-joth, this condition, is directed toward you, el atom, the ones performing the religious rituals 286 who claim to be teachers, ha-Kohen, those adorned like priests, clerics, and ministers. Malachi 2-1. If, you do not listen, lo shama, and if, you do not place it on your heart, considering it logically, simel lab, should you not be disposed to make a reasoned decision, to give, la Nathan, to afford and bestow, some significance, karbod, a high value, a little respect, and some dignity, to my name, la Shemeni, says, Amar, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God as guided by His Towrah, instructions regarding His higher existence, of the spiritual representatives, Zava. Then I will dispatch, Shalak, I will send out and disseminate, among you, bar atom, a thoughtful curse which keeps you bound to your embittering existence, ethar mera, that which hems in and binds, leading to a damned and demeaning, disillusioning, and isolating condition. So, I will condemn, wa arah, I will damn and demean, I will render powerless, holding you unable to escape, cursing, your pronouncements and your blessings, eth baraka atom, your sources of wealth and prosperity along with your benedictions and invocations. Moreover, wa gam, I will condemn them, wa arahu, I will damn and demean them, I will render them powerless, holding them unable to escape, cursing them to an embittering and isolating existence, because, ky, you will not consider this matter responsibly, simel lab, you are not predisposed to make a thoughtful decision or exercise good judgment. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:2. There are two things one can say universally, and unequivocally about rabbinic Judaism. It is predicated upon listening to the rabbis and not to God. And Yahweh's name is not in their repertoire. Further, Rabbis 287 brought this on themselves by claiming that they had replaced the Kohen, priests. There are 7 distinct Hebrew words that are rendered as curse in English. They are arah, kalal, alah, kabab, nakab, and zam, in addition to meira. To group them together as if they conveyed the same concept is superficial and inadequate. In this case, meira is a compound of ma. To consider the implications of arah, being hemmed in and bound, rendered unable to escape, condemned in a manner that is damning and demeaning, leading to an embittering and isolating existence. It sounds a lot like the embittered existence Jews have endured these past 2,000 years. Yahweh's curse was, indeed, ma'arah and, thus, thought-provoking. Having induced the people into a religion that bound believers to them, the rabbis would be bound. The isolating and embittering existence they imposed on their fellow Israelites would come back to haunt them as they will all endure an eternity of isolating disillusionment. Those who have damned Jewish souls will be condemned. The most profitable part of the rabbinical scheme is to make pronouncements and sell blessings. Turns out, they will be hung by their own benedictions and invocations. The most revealing part of this may be the realization that nothing is going to change. Wrong today, wrong tomorrow. Rabbis will never listen to Yahweh and will continue to cite their fellow rabbis to the bitter end. Their Torah is the Talmud. From the quill of the man who was content to convey Yahweh's message as he shared it with him, we read another harsh and graphic rebuke of the religious. Behold, hine, look here now and see, I, myself, will rebuke and abhor, any gar, I will reprimand and 288 disapprove, I will insult and convict, your offspring la'atameth hazera, that which you scatter and sow, to such an extent, that I will spread, zara, I will disperse, the viscera and dung, paresh, the intestines and guts, fecal matter and dung, of your feasts, jagatam, upon your faces, alpana, before your presence. Then it will be taken away and you with it, wanasa eth atom el hu, it and you will be carried off and removed. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:3. They were warned. 200 years prior to this indictment, through the prophet, Hosea, Yahweh explained that, if the people decided to ignore the Torah, they would be dooming their children to this fate. And prior to that, the second statement Yahweh etched in stone stated that when fathers convinced their children to accept their religion, they would corrupt them for generations to come. If you count yourself among the religious, Reformed, Orthodox, or, worse, Haredim, you are in for a rude awakening. God abhors you, but deep down, religious Jews already know that. They routinely blame God for their miserable lives as if his torments were designed to make them more pious. The greater the ordeal, the more righteous and religious they feel. According to the God they mock with their Torah, the Babylonian Talmud, whom they slander by besmirching his name, calling him Adonai, my Lord, and whom they rob by decreasing the size of his family. Religious Jews appear and smell like viscera and dung, as if they were covered in fecal matter. Since this is about as blunt as God can be and keep it PG-13, I have a question. What is the purpose of a religion which angers the God its devotees claim to be worshipping? Why sacrifice one's liberty, squander the opportunity for a productive life, remain mired in centuries long past, and 289 deprive one's children of access to God by doing something God abhors? Why do they claim to speak for the God who speaks against them? Why wear mourning clothes and a kippah when both serve to readily identify those that Yahweh detests? People don't want to hear it, but they need to. Clerics kill. Their religions, their rituals, and their words murder innocent children. Yahweh is telling us that attending religious festivals is deadly. Such is the case when Roman Catholic priests insist that they turn grape juice into blood and wafers into flesh, and then tell those bowing before them to drink and eat them. God sees man's religious holidays as fecal matter, human refuse, the diseased food of maggots. Next time you witness the celebrations of Christmas, Easter, Lent, Halloween, Ramadan, Hanukkah, Purim, or Rosh Hashanah, hold your nose and visualize them from God's perspective. Paresh or Parosh, depending upon the vocalization, in addition to being dung, and the innards of a butchered animal, conveys the idea of secreting a poison, by biting into a living being and envenomating it. Therefore, we have yet another affirmation that God considers religion to be toxic. The concluding statement within this passage affirms something religious Jews have already surmised. There is no salvation for them. Life is and then it is not. They will all be taken away, their lives squandered. As a Jew, your choices are three. You can turn against the rabbis and denounce them, and then turn to the God who revealed these things to you. You can protect the rabbis and sacrifice your children's souls to them. Or you 290 can ignore all of this and go on with your mortal existence as if nothing is going to change. Yahweh's Shem and his Miqra'ey are essential aspects of his adereth. They are the source of and the path to continued existence in our Heavenly Father's family. Whether or not you consider yourself a Jew or a Yahwud, a citizen of Israel or part of Yisra'el, soon, everyone will know the truth. And one such truth is that it is the Levites, not the rabbis, whom Yahweh has designated to serve his people such that they would know and understand the conditions of the covenant. When the rabbis usurped their authority, they compromised God's plan. So, Yahweh is telling us that they were not only wrong to do so, but that he remains committed to the conditions he set forth. It is yet another devastating blow to the foundational claims of Judaism because God is undermining rabbinic authority. Therefore, you will know, Yada, you will come to realize and appreciate, even understand, that, indeed, and by contrast, I sent, Shalach, I offered and dispatched, this instructive condition to you, El Atameth HaMitzvah HaJoth, this authorized prescription and pronouncement regarding the terms of the relationship, that my covenant will continue, La Haya Berith Eni, that one approaches and lives with my family, through the Lo'i, by being one, Eth Lo'i, by way of the uniter. The one who joined us together, Moseh, says, Amar, Yahowah, written as directed by his Torah, teaching, of the assembled conscripts, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:4. There is something important being conveyed here that might be easily missed should we not recognize that Yahweh is addressing a single Lo'i. And therefore, God is giving the religious the worst possible news. The terms 291 and conditions ascribed to the covenant, as presented in the Torah given to Moses, remain valid. What was conveyed through the preeminent Lo'i has not been superseded by the Talmud or New Testament. Any familial covenant relationship, berith, was established with him, Hayathu, exists based upon what is associated with him, masculine singular cal perfect, what literally came into existence at that moment in time through this one man. The opportunity to live, Ha'chaim, and to be reconciled, Yowm, I provided and bestowed, Nathan, to them, Hem, through him, Lahu. He showed great reverence and respect for me, Mora Eni, and for the presence of my name, Min Panashem. He was wonderful, inspiring, and awesome, Chattathu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:5. Yahweh cut the covenant with Abraham, but it was not until its terms and conditions were higher, established in the Torah with Moses that the means to live and be reconciled became available to the rest of us. Further, unlike the rabbis, Moses showed great reverence and respect for Yahweh and his name. As much as God despises the rabbis, he loved Moses as a son, which is why we see him praising his favorite Lo'i. From God's perspective, the religious look like crap while Moses is marvelous. Shayim, lives is typically rendered in the plural form. It suggests that there is more than this one life, and that if we want to experience an extended existence in Shamaim, we would do well to consider what the Lo'i scribed in the Torah. Yowm communicates many things associated with life in the covenant. Yahweh is concerned with our 292 health, welfare, and prosperity, our restoration, reconciliation, and renewal. Should you have thought that I was extrapolating to equate the singular Lo'i to Moseh and, therefore, the Torah, Yahweh puts our minds at ease. The trustworthy and reliable, Emeth, the consistent and enduring, the dependable, firmly establishing, steadfast, and true, Torah, source of teaching and instructions, directions and guidance, was in, Hayabar, existed in, Kal perfect, his mouth, Pehu. Furthermore, Wah, nothing perverse or unjust, all alo, nothing incorrect, harmful, damaging to others, evil, or malice, was found, Matzah, on his lips, Bar Safahu. He walked with me, Holoketh Eni, he traveled on a great journey by my side, reconciled and blessed, satisfied and content, Shalom, successfully and confidently, harmoniously and at peace, and on an elevated plane, above the fray, Wah bar my shore, upright and steadfast, without wavering, righteous and fair, in a manner which was on the level and straightforward, correct and pleasing. And therefore, Wah, a great many, Rabbim, he turned, Shub, he returned and transformed, away from, men, being perverted and corrupted, A1, wrongdoing, guilt, and punishment, being incorrect and offensive. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:6. Yahweh is presenting a contrast between Moseh and the rabbis, between the Torah and Talmud, between truth and lies. One is above the fray, straightforward and reliable, and the other is underhanded and inconsistent. The only man who actually spoke the Torah into existence is Moseh. The entire book of Dabarim, words 293 came from his lips. When Yahweh engages with his prophets, he wants them to participate. We have witnessed Zechariah and Yeshua interject themselves into their revelations, making them personal. And no one got more personal with God than did his son, Daud. And while the Messiah wrote numerous Mizmor, psalms explaining how to observe the Torah, God's instructions to us were delivered by and credited to one man. Moseh did not just liberate Yisrael, he changed the course of history. The Torah has transformed more lives than anything ever written. And yet even here, Yahweh has a sense of humor. The great many he turned away from perversions and corruptions is from Rabbim, the basis of Rabbi. In the end, the Torah will direct many away from the offensive nature of these religious dictators. Moseh did not walk alone. His journey from religious oppression to the promised land is one we can all travel with God at our side. By leaving a legacy of words, we can stride in the same footsteps and along the same path. There is yet another aspect of Torah we should consider, especially in the midst of a prophecy emphasizing the importance of Yahweh's name. No one disputes its spelling or pronunciation, Torah. So then how is it so few acknowledge that Yahuwah is pronounced similarly? Is not Torah's O from the Wah and its R from the Hey? And that means that the only remaining Hebrew letter in God's name is the one with the most obvious pronunciation, Yod. Making yet another distinction between rabbis and Kohen, God said. This is because, KY, the lips, Safa, the speech of a Kohen, priest, Kohen, one acting in the role of a priest, a confidential advisor, a minister and royal advisor, from Kahan, to serve as a mediator, should closely examine and carefully consider, Shema, should focus 294 upon, care about, and cling to, observing, information leading to understanding, Dorth, being perceptive and discriminating, diligently seeking knowledge to comprehend. They should search and inquire about, Wabakosh, they should ask about, investigate and seek to learn information from, requesting and desiring, the Torah, the source of teaching and instructions, guidance and directions, from, Min, his mouth, Pehu, because indeed, KY, surely and truly, he, Hu, is a messenger, Malach, a representative, implement, and envoy, a dispatch and deputy, an ambassador and interpreter, of Yahweh of the spiritual implements, Yahweh Zaba, the proper pronunciation of Yahuwah. Our Eloah, God has directed in his Torah, teaching regarding his Hayeh, existence and our Shalom, restoration. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:7. The reference to pay, mouth was not perchance. According to Rabbinic Judaism, the oral Torah is Torah Shibi al Pei, Torah that is on the mouth. These religious zealots have managed to convince millions of unthinking Orthodox Jews to believe that, in addition to the Torah inspired by Yahweh and scribed by Moseh, there was another by mouth, not pen. There are no records of it between 1447 BCE and 200 to 500 CE, no Dead Sea Scrolls to substantiate this claim. There is no mention of it in the written Torah, or by any of the prophets from 1447 BC to circa 500 BCE. And the Torah, itself, says do not add to it. When the text magically appears, it isn't in Yahweh's voice or Moseh's, as is the case with the written Torah but, instead, came to exist as a collection of religious arguments posed by rabbis trying to impress one another in Babylon. The notion of a Torah shebi-al-peh, Torah that is on the mouth, is among the dumbest notions ever promoted as a religious text, rivaled only by the Book of Mormon and Scientology. 295 inches The Torah, Yahweh restricted the priesthood to the family of Moses and his brother, Aharon, both of whom were Lowy. Shemoth, Exodus 28:1 and 40:12-15, and while there were occasional exceptions to Lowy, Levite exclusivity, the purpose and legitimacy are either poorly attested, not sanctioned by God, or they are not referred to as Cohen. Their principal role was to officiate during the Miqra'ey such that the people would benefit from them. Back in a time when scrolls of the Torah were written by hand on parchment, there would have been very few personal copies. Therefore, the best way to know what God was offering and expecting in return would have been to listen to a Lowy Cohen recite it. Having devoted the last third of my life to translating Yahweh's Torah, teaching, and having been freed of almost all other responsibilities, I have experienced something that was likely true with the Lowy. The more devoted we become to closely examining and carefully considering the trustworthy and reliable Torah, the better prepared we are to interpret Yahweh's message in a way that leads to understanding. Our desire is then to share his guidance with all who are willing to listen. This prophetic statement does not limit others from studying the Word of God. I am neither a Yisraelite nor a Lowy. I am not a Nabi or Cohen. But unlike the rabbis, I am not claiming to be a substitute for them, but instead, someone encouraging the Lowy Cohen to return to duty, and fulfill their calling. I trust Yahweh, not men, and I do not charge for this service. I have discovered that the quality and quantity of insights I am able to derive and share by studying Yahweh's words come in direct proportion to the time I invest in listening to and learning from God. Therefore, I appreciate why the Lowy were kept from owning property 296 such that they could focus on this mission. Very few people are in this position today, free of encumbrances and distractions, such that they can devote the time required to understand where and how to look to know what Yahweh is offering and what he expects from us in return. Specifically, to serve as a messenger on behalf of Yahweh, a person must know where to look to find trustworthy and reliable information. That sounds simple enough, until one recognizes that most either have no interest in looking or they are searching in all of the wrong places. A messenger must not only come to celebrate the relational, volitional, and eternal aspects of Hebrew, but to be effective, they should treasure each word as if it were a diamond cut to reflect light from many perspectives. And they should endeavor to go from Yada, knowing to bin, understanding whenever possible. There is yet another requirement to being used to interpret and convey Yahweh's testimony. The messenger must know and respect Yahweh by word and name. We must be open and receptive to him, willing to listen, value evidence over faith, and be devoted to reason. Being reliant on his Dabar and Ruach is as essential as being willing to holok derek where his words lead. Any time a religious directive is inconsistent with the Torah, it is wrong. And this means that the people who follow clerical advice will be forsaken, having stumbled away from the path to Yahweh. So, God is rebuking those who sought to replace the Lowy's Torah and the Cohen's mission. And once again, he is identifying those he is excoriating, rabbis. As for, yourselves you have turned, rejected and removed yourselves, from, min, the way, derek, the path. You have caused many to stumble, kashal rabbim, rabbis are the reason innumerable people have faltered and 297 fallen, leading to their downfall, making countless feeble and weak, by way of, your Torah instructions and teachings, Torah, your directions and guidance. You corrupt and invalidate, shaket, you pervert and mutilate, rendering useless by sliming, the familial covenant relationship, berith, of the Lowy, Lowy, which was presented through Moseh, declares Amar, Yahweh, transliteration of the assembled envoys, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:8. The rabbinic way is not God's way. They do not produce the same result. They do not lead to the same place. One is truthful, and reliable. The other is neither. This is the worst possible outcome for the religious. Yahweh's final prophet revealed that religion is incompatible with the relationship Yahweh intended. Worse, rabbinic Judaism's Torah and way corrupts and invalidates the covenant, leaving Jews estranged from God. The oral Torah of the rabbis has caused innumerable Israelites to stumble and fall, keeping them from rising up to Yah. If you are a Jew, you have a choice. You can continue to believe the rabbis and forfeit your soul. Or you can trust Yahweh and condemn the rabbis. Should you not like this choice, don't blame me. Your argument is with God. While I agree with him, these are his words, and they are uncompromising. Sadly for the Orthodox, and yet fortunately for the rest of us who despise them for what they have said and done, the likes of the Haredim do not read anything other than rabbinical trash. They are banned from the internet and from considering evidence critical of the tyrants who control every aspect of their lives. They are entombed in a prison of their own making and design, stuck with 298 another, and in time, they may actually find Shaul appealing. Or not? Since God is just, there must be a severe consequence for deliberately leading generation after generation the wrong way, down a path that leads them to their death and destruction. It appears that we are on the same page with the Almighty. Furthermore, Wagam, I, Eni myself, will give you all over, Nathan Ethatom, I will allow what is associated with you, to being despised, bizarre, to being discredited and seen as having no value, to be perceived as vile, contemptible, despicable, and worthless, seen as an object of scorn, even hated, and to being abased, humbled and humiliated, shepal, to being diminished in stature, demeaned, degraded, and belittled as cultural outcasts, for the sake of, la, as a result of, concerned about, and before, the entire, Shurl family, am, in so much as, ka, that which is related to your mouth, pe asher atom, is unobservant and ignorant, ein shema, is negligent, of my ways, eth derek eni, and yet still, wa, you respect and honor, lifting up, nasa, you exalt and carry forward, bringing forth, the presence of, Hannah, your Torah, Baha Torah, in your teachings, directions, and instructions. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:9. Once again, Yahweh is impugning rabbis, and no one else. They alone have a Torah in conflict with the Torah. They have earned this public reprimand for having perpetrated this crime. It is reassuring to see Yahweh speaking this unequivocally and bluntly. He is condemning every aspect of rabbinic Judaism, from their oral Torah and Talmud to their pompous claims, from their degrading religious edicts 299 to the fact that the Orthodox are Torah unobservant. Yahweh has stated that the rabbis and their ilk actually prefer their oral Torah, Talmud to the Word of God. It is astonishing that millions of Jews have subjected themselves to rabbinical diarrhea without bothering to consider what Yahweh revealed through his messenger, Malachi. And it is getting worse, not better, with countless plague-infested morons in mourning clothes touting their Torah of the mouth above all else. It is hard to imagine how utterly disgusted God must be with these idiots. If it bothers your sensibilities to read such things, may I suggest that you may want to take your neshama, conscience in for servicing. It is clearly broken. Yahweh, through his messenger, asks two rhetorical questions and then, by way of a third question, lays down a devastating blanket indictment against the religious establishment. Is there not one, ha-lo ekad, Father, ab, for, la, all of, shurl, us, anaku? Did not ha-lo, one, ekad, God, el, create, bara, us, anaku? So why, Madua, what is the reason or cause to, are we unfaithful and unreliable, even unscrupulous and untrustworthy, Bagad? Are we allowing ourselves to be controlled by others while acting treacherously, betraying the relationship by acting deceptively, toward our brethren, ishba'ach, brothers, relatives, and countrymen, each, lahu, violating and defiling, chol, profaning, desecrating, and dishonoring, breaking and degrading, the covenant relationship, berith, of our fathers, Abanaktu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:10. Why, indeed? What is the point of allowing oneself to be controlled by others when God is offering to liberate and 300 enrich his children? Is anything of value ever achieved by being unscrupulous and unreliable, when the benefits of the covenant include immortality, perfection, adoption, enrichment, and empowerment, inheriting all that God has to give? Why let men take all of that away from you? And let's be clear, according to this statement, Jews have done this to themselves, willingly. They have knowingly discarded the covenant, degraded and profaned it, and replaced it with an emasculating and stifling religion. Before the covenant can be reconciled, it is imperative that God explain how it was broken. Part of becoming right is recognizing where we have gone wrong. Yahuwdah, Yahuwdah, beloved of Yah and related to Yah, commonly transliterated Judah, has been unscrupulous and untrustworthy, Bagad, has allowed itself to be controlled by others while acting treacherously, deceptively betraying the relationship, and has become unfaithful and unreliable, and has engaged and acted, Asar, has done, in an abhorrent and loathsome manner, Towrah, repulsively doing detestable and abdominal things, many of which are idolatrous, while engaging in religious worship, in, Yisra'el. Yisrael, among individuals who strive and struggle with God, and in, Yowshalaim, the source of restoration and reconciliation. Indeed, truly, Yahweh, beloved of Yah and related to Yah, commonly transliterated Judah, is in violation of the agreement and has desecrated and defiled. Chol is common and contemptible, having profaned that which is set apart. Kodesh, that which is separated and dedicated unto Yahweh, Yahowah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God as guided by His Towrah, instructions regarding His higher existence. 301 This is because, Asher, he has directed his affection toward, Ahab, he has shown a desire for and clearly likes, even loves, and is now ruled by the Lord Baal, Baal, he has joined and is bound to one who is controlling, having embraced and married Baal, within the house, Bath, as part of the family, home, and household, from 4 key as the Mount reads Bath, daughter, of a foreign god, El Naka, a deity from a different place, observing and acknowledging a god in a different language. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:11. In this situation, like so many others, we ought to be grateful to the scribes among the Essenes in Qumran. Rather than struggling to integrate Bath, daughter into this pronouncement regarding being controlled by the Lord, Baal, we find a perfectly suitable term. The Dead Sea Scrolls are a great treasure to be searched and enjoyed. According to this declaration, the beloved of Yah has betrayed Yahweh's affection. Controlled by rabbis, religious Jews have largely forsaken their name and have become unscrupulous while engaging in abhorrent ways. Even worse, they have stained the promised land in the process. As is the case with almost every religious construct, the Lord has become their God. And that's exceptionally concerning because Yahweh uses Baal to describe Satan. There are many things that are set apart unto Yahweh. These include His Towrah, covenant, and invitations to meet, His name, and spirit, His city and home, even His people, especially His firstborn, Daud. And yet, rather than respect these, the religious have made a mockery of them, desecrating and defiling everything which is important to Yahweh. Saddest of all, the focus of rabbinic Judaism is not Yahweh but instead a nameless Lord, referred to here as Baal. In the process, the Orthodox have begun to worship 302 deceased rabbis, routinely conducting pilgrimages to their graves. We can also hold the purveyors of Judaism accountable for their corruption of Yahweh's word. In this passage, Qumran scroll 4 she reads Bath, house not Bath, daughter. The original presents religious Jews as being at home with false gods while the rabbinical corruption has them acting like little girls around their Lord and Master. Either way, God is not amused. Yahweh, written as directed by His Towrah, teaching, will choose to cut off, Karath, will want to sever and separate, stop and banish, hyphal imperfect Jussiv, the individual, Ish, who, Asher, engages in this, Asahai, who does such a thing, either as a witness providing testimony, Ed, as one who speaks of it, from 4 key as the Mount reads who wakes, or one who responds, Anna, who replies, making a declaration, from 4 key as the Mount reads who answers, from, Min, camping out, Ohel. From conspicuously living and openly dwelling, with Jacob, reward or consequence, Jacob, my stance, I grab the heel, Jacob, from Akab, to receive a benefit or suffer a penalty for circumventing and overreaching, digging in by being stubborn or embedding one's heels to be steadfast. A synonym for Yisrael, when, the offering is presented, Mincha, the gift is apportioned and bestowed, to approach and be present with, Nigashlah, to gather together and draw near, Yahowah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God as guided by His Towrah, instructions regarding His higher existence, of the vast array of spiritual messengers, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:12. This is the consequence of returning to Miqra'ey and subjecting oneself to religious oppression. Whether an 303 individual speaks on behalf of it or simply responds to it, they will be cut off from Yisrael. Those who claim that their religion defines what it is to be Jewish are seen as the antithesis by God. That would be sobering to the Haredim if they bothered to consider Yahweh's point of view. The offer which is being presented, allowing Yisrael and Yahweh to gather together and approach Yahweh, is Yowm Kipurym, the day of reconciliations. This marvelous gift, however, is not being offered to the religious. Once again, we have evidence that the Masoretic text was altered. Ed, meaning to witness and provide testimony, was changed to which was then translated as to awaken or to rouse someone to action and from sleep. Vocalized the Hebrew substitute means enemy, adversary, and foe. But while those who are having an affair with Lord Baal are now linked to the adversary, and have become Yahweh's foe, God had transitioned from their allegiance to their witness. It was their testimony which would cause them to be separated from Yahweh. The self-professed literal New American Standard Bible, which claims to be based upon the oldest manuscripts, and is not, reads, as for the man who does this, may the Lord cut off from the tents of Jacob everyone who awakes and answers, or who presents an offering to the Lord of hosts. By comparison, and based upon the Dead Sea Scrolls, God actually said, Yahowah, will cut off, the individual, ish, who, Asher, engages in this, asahai, either as a witness providing testimony, ed, or one who responds, anna, from, min, camping out, ohel, with Yaakov, when, the offering is presented, mincha, to 304 approach and be present with, nigashla, Yahowah, of the spiritual implements, zaba. Malachi 2:12. Nonetheless, the King James Bible, a revision 5 times over of the Latin Vulgate, itself a translation 3 times over, must have thought that Anna and Mincha both meant offering, because they wrote, "The Lord will cut off the man that doeth this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Jacob, and him that offereth and offering unto the Lord of hosts." The New International Version conveys the following unsupported paraphrase where Anna was completely ignored: "As for the man who does this, whoever he may be, may the Lord cut him off from the tents of Jacob, even though he brings offerings to the Lord Almighty." The deceiver of young men and women, the man who began his Old Testament studies class with Leviticus, why bother? Wrote the following on behalf of the New Living Translation: "May the Lord cut off from the nation of Israel every last man who has done this and yet brings an offering to the Lord of heaven's armies." He ignored Anna in Malachi while translating it, as "deny yourselves and fast in Kara." The audacity of calling this disconnected prose a living translation is almost beyond belief. The Jewish Publication Society, the supposed experts, came up with, "May the Lord leave to him who does this a no descendants a dwelling in the tents of Jacob and presenting offerings to the Lord of hosts." A meaning of Hebrew is uncertain. Lord knows how they managed to twist this out of the text. Setting the corruptions aside for a moment, in the Torah, Yahweh said that he would dissipate the souls of those who do not respond to his summons to appear in the presence of the feminine manifestation of his 305 light on Yowm Kipurym. Here, God is saying that he will cut off and banish from living with his people those individuals who witness on behalf of their relationship with the Lord, Baal. And since to be cut off and separated from Yahweh is different, and indeed far worse than having one's soul cease to exist, the consequence of failing to respond to God's summons is far less severe than misleading others. Based upon Forkshi, Yahweh told those without scruples who are in the camp of foreign gods. And this, Wajoth, is another thing, Sheni, a second thing, you do, Asar you cover, Kasa you conceal and hide, Yahweh's, the pronunciation of Yahuwah is guided by his Torah, teaching, altar, my speech, with tears and expressions of sorrow, bitterly, dima, shrieking and groaning, anaka, crying, because, min, of your adversarial nature, narrow-mindedness, and troublesome experiences, zar, dire straits, distress, adversity, constraints, and oppressive situation, from Forkshi, such that there is no longer, inode, any attention paid to or regard for the presence, Hannah, anyone turning toward the appearance nor any direction regarding, of the gift which has been offered, mincha, of the sacrifice made and bestowed, nor any desire to receive or accept it, while lakak ratzon, nor will to choose, decision to take, grasp hold of, or obtain it, with your hand, min yod atom. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:13. God has a point. Considering all he has done for us, we ought to be appreciative, even jubilant. He does not want the approach to him covered in tears or laments. He did not go to all of this trouble to fill his home with the clinically depressed. And yet the religious are always complaining. Yes, Jews have been abused, but none of it 306 would have occurred if they had not been so antagonistic toward God. Heaven is for those who love Yahweh and who respect his Torah. It is not for those who cause others to stumble by contradicting the Torah, or invalidating the covenant. It is not for the unobservant or for those who prefer their own way. It is not for the unreliable or untrustworthy. God is not looking to surround himself with repulsive people or with those who defile what he values. Choosing the Lord, Baal over him is more than enough to be excluded, as is offering false testimony. Likewise, God is not fond of curmudgeons, the adversarial or narrow-minded. All of this negativity has affected God's people to the point that they have largely estranged themselves. They are so far down the religious rabbit hole that they can no longer fathom that Yowm Kipurym is God's gift to Yisra'el and Yahuwdah. They see it as a punishment, a day to deny and afflict themselves. And without reconciliations, there is no relationship. As noted in the text, Zar was excluded from the Masoretic text but found in Forkshi, a scroll containing the revelations of the last prophets dating to 200 BCE. It was translated as adversarial nature, narrow-mindedness, and troublesome experiences. It could also have been rendered as dire straits, distress, adversity, constraints, or as an oppressive situation. Zar is the word Yahweh used to depict the time of Jacob's troubles, and thus, it may be indicative of the religious being left to endure the worst the world has to offer. It is little wonder the Masoretes removed it from their manuscripts. Continuing to provide insights into the mindset of the religious, Yahweh reveals. But you ask, Why? So you say, what is the problem, Alma, for what reason? 307 So, God answered. It is because, Al-Ky, Yahweh, Yahuwah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God as guided by His Towrah, instructions regarding His higher existence, has repeatedly testified, Yud, is a frequent and admonishing witness, by providing a thoughtful connection for you, Bayan Otter, such that you might understand, Bayan, the feminine manifestation of God's fiery light which empowered, enlightened, and elevated, Isha, the marriage partner associated with, you as a child, Noram Otter, with whom, Asher, you have been unfaithful, betraying her, Bagad Bar High, you have acted treacherously without justification, being fraudulent and deceitful toward her, and yet, she is your companion, providing fellowship, Wahai Chaberith Otter, she is the one you should associate with as if a friend and marriage partner, and your covenant partner, Isha Berith Otter, the loving woman of your family. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:14. We have come full circle. Isha was the second pivotal term in Yahweh's Torah presentation of Yowm Kipurym. With Isha meaning female individual, wife, and adoptive mother, and with Isha conveying all of the symbolism of the feminine manifestation of God's fiery light, by blending these related concepts, we see our spiritual mother purifying, enlightening, empowering, and elevating us unto Yahweh. She is the means by which we are adopted into our Heavenly Father's family. That is not to say that this is the only way to render Isha in this passage. Translated as wife and marriage partner, Isha fits beautifully within the context of the Berith, covenant, which is also known as a marriage vow. God does not take kindly to those who betray the set-apart spirit. And yet, Orthodox Jews have convinced themselves 308 that their own wives serve as the Malachi, whom they call the Shabat queen. Affirming that Yahweh was addressing the role of the set-apart spirit, Malachi inquires. Did ye not engage as one, Walo Ekadasar, did he not act and work as one, and as a soul in corporeal fashion, Wasir, as a physical manifestation, with himself as related kin, through the approach of his spirit, Ruach Lahu? And why was the one, Wamaha Ekad, inquiring about and seeking, Bakosh, looking for and requesting, godly offspring, Zerah Elohim, to sow God's seeds to produce children? Therefore, you should be observant, Shema, you should be attentive toward and keep focused upon, so as to be preserved, in conjunction with your spirit, Bar Ruach Atom, with the feminine, maternal, and spiritual manifestation of Yahweh's nature, set apart from God to serve all of you. And then concerning the feminine manifestation of God's fiery light who empowered and enlightened, Wabar Isha, therefore, with regard to the brilliant woman, during your childhood, Noram Otter, of your adolescence and youth, from to be shaken off and emptied out before roaring like a lion, none of you should leave or betray her or disregard her garments, Al-Bagad, you should not have been deceitful, offensive, or unfaithful. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:15. God is explaining the way, as a 7-dimensional being, He is able to enter and interact with us in 3.5 dimensions. He, with the aid of His set-apart spirit, can deploy His Nipesh, soul such that it enables God to experience our reality while conveying His personality. This is how He walked in the garden with Adam, initiated 309 the covenant with Abraham, and wrote the tablets He handed to Moses. Yahweh's principal agent in our realm is His Ruach Kodesh, set-apart spirit. She represents the maternal aspects of God's nature and is responsible for our inclusion into the covenant family. As this statement attests, she is not a separate persona but, instead, is part of the one God, set apart from Him to serve us. In this context, with this depiction of the Ruach juxtaposed between references to the Isha, we find support for our conclusion that during the Miqra'ey we are being asked to approach the set-apart spirit. The Isha is correctly rendered as feminine and maternal manifestation of God's fiery light which purifies and enlightens, empowers and elevates. The Ruach Kodesh, Isha, and Malachi, even the Ayaluv are one. She is our spiritual mother and guide, our counselor, and she, by embodying Yahweh's maternal attributes, contributes to the Miqra'ey and Berith while teaching Torah. Affirming this for us, Yahweh revealed, did He not engage as one, Walo Ekadasar, and as a soul in corporeal fashion, Wasir, through the approach of His spirit, Ruach Lahu? And why was the one, Wamaha Ekad, inquiring about and seeking, Bakosh, godly offspring to raise and nurture as children, Zerah Elohim? The Nipesh Yahweh engaged in conjunction with His spirit to enable the promises of Pesach and Matzah, leading to Bikurim and then Shabuah, was His sons. Daud made the sacrifice so that we could be adopted, nurtured, and enriched. One God, one family, one father and mother, and at this point, one son, sowing the seeds that would become the covenant's children. In the context of Yowm Kipurym, of becoming reconciled unto our Heavenly Father by approaching the presence of our spiritual mother, this pronouncement is 310 especially relevant, helpful, and clear. Therefore, you should be observant, Shema, in conjunction with your spirit, bar ruach atom. And then concerning the feminine manifestation of God's fiery light which empowers, enlightens, and elevates, bar isha, of your childhood, nor imota, none of you should leave or betray, never showing a disregard for her garments, al-bagad. We should never lose sight of the Spirit's role in our lives. She adorns us in her garment of light on Matzah, perfecting us, so that she can adopt us into the covenant on Bikurim, empowering, enriching, and enlightening us during Shabat. To betray the set-apart Spirit, as the Orthodox have done, is to preclude entry into God's family, to remain mortal and imperfect, and to forfeit the wisdom she provides. There are several nuances in this statement that I'd like to address. First, there are two references to the Ruach, Spirit. She is introduced as His Spirit, meaning that the Ruach is set apart from Yahweh. Then she is said to also be the Ruach atom, Spirit of you all. She is your mother when you become a child of the covenant. God's Spirit becomes our spirit when we become His Zerah, seed. Second, we initially encounter our spiritual mother during the transition from Matzah to Bikurim when we are young, which indicates that she is the source of our perfection and adoption as children of the covenant. That is why we are invited to approach her during unyeasted bread. She is tasked with cleansing our souls of religion, making the Ruach Kodesh the antidote needed to neutralize the Haredim toxins. In this regard, she shakes off and empties out these religious impurities so that we can roar like the lion of Yahuwdym. 311 and 3rd, al-bagad, which translated as none of you should leave or betray, when negated as it was in this context, also means that we should not disregard the Spirit's garments. Yahweh's means of perfecting us is to adorn us in His Spirit's light. Where there is light, there is no darkness. Light obliterates and replaces that which should remain unseen. This is how God viewed Dowd and, indeed, every child of the covenant. To appreciate what Yahweh said after succinctly affirming the role of the Spirit, especially during the day of reconciliations on behalf of the familial covenant relationship, we must turn to the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Masoretic text rendering of this next statement isn't even remotely accurate. For indeed, and by contrast, if, should, omitted from the mount, you, atom, you all, from forkji because the mount reads are hostile to and hate, opting to shun, saying, abhor and detest, disliking or loathing, showing enmity toward, and, dismiss me, sending me away, salak, separating yourselves from me while choosing to be free of me, says, Amar, Yahweh, Yahuwah, the God, Elohim, of Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God, my garment, lebusheni, my adornment, and apparel. From forkji because the mount reads His, will be concealed and shrouded, Kasa, will become unknown and undiscoverable, hidden from sight and masked, with that which is destructive and wrong, Amars, unjust and deadly, oppressive and immoral, ruined by those lacking self-restraint, who demonstrate cruelty through injurious language which maims, robs, and plunders, says, Amar, Yahweh, of the engaged conscripts, Zaba. Therefore, be observant, closely examining and carefully considering, Shema, in conjunction with, your spirit, Ruach atom, and do not be unfaithful, bagad, do not be untrustworthy or unreliable, do 312 not treacherously betray by being offensively deceitfully or rebellious. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:16. We can choose to love God or hate Him. We can become part of His family or dismiss Him and separate ourselves from His covenant. And while there is an individual consequence of this choice, there is a collective consequence as well. If enough of us come to abhor the God who revealed Himself in these words, and divorce ourselves from Him, then the set-apart Spirit's garment of light, the covering which makes us appear perfect in Yahweh's eyes by hiding our religious corruption, will be hidden, shrouded under the pervasiveness of man's corruptions. So, God's advice is for us to choose to be faithful and to care about, cling to and become secure in, the Spirit who has been given to us, to protect and save us from ourselves. Speaking of concealing the truth, those who celebrate their ignorance of the text, and who abhor what Yahweh actually conveyed, consider Tremper Longman's NLT rendering, for I hate divorce. Says the Lord, the God of Israel. To divorce your wife is to overwhelm her with cruelty, says the Lord of heaven's armies. So guard your heart, do not be unfaithful to your wife. When it comes to hiding the truth through wrongdoing, it is hard to beat the New Living Translation's corruption of the previous statement, Malachi 2:15, the one in which we saw God clarify the role of the Spirit during the day of reconciliations as well as with the covenant relationship. They published, "Didn't the Lord make you one with your wife? In body and spirit you are His. And what does He want? Godly children from your union. So guard your heart, remain loyal to the wife of your youth." This is so far removed from the text it is almost as if Tremper Longman was writing his own Bible. 313 Yahweh is annoyed by religion. And that is because religions claim that their schemes endear the faithful to God when, in fact, they do just the opposite. And, wah, you have wearied, Yada, you have exhausted, God, Elohim, the Almighty, from Forkshi, with your words, Bar Atom, with your statements, speeches, and messages. But, wah, you say, Amar, you ask, in what way, Ma, how is it that, have we wearied him, Yada? In, Bar, you, Atom, telling, Amar, promising, everyone, Shirl, that doing, Asar, that acting upon and engaging in, bad, Ra, that which is evil and troubling, invalid and incorrect is good, Tob, moral, right, and pleasing, in, Bar, the eyes of, Ein, the perspective of, Yahowah, Yahowah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God as guided by His Towrah, instructions regarding His higher existence, and that He, who is willing to accept, Chafets, He desires and wants, finding pleasure in, these things, Wabahem. If so, where is, the God, Elohim, who justly resolves disputes, Hamishbat, who encourages sound decisions and good judgment, from to ponder the implications of Shafot, executing judgment, and making sound decisions. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:17. This is the essence of religion. Man's ways are positioned as being pleasing and acceptable to God when they actually conflict with and contradict God's way. But such a condition cannot possibly be true. And that is why Yahweh provides the answer He does. God cannot be just and accept human religious alternatives which contradict His instructions. 314 The Babylonian Talmud is comprised of replacing what Yahweh wants with what rabbis prefer. Good becomes bad and bad is promoted as good. And while the religious have honed their ability to contradict God, Yahweh is asking how is it possible that those who do so are right. It is the single most destructive query which can be foisted upon those trapped within Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Continuing to open the door for the unorthodox which has been blocked by the rabbis, Yahweh stated, "So then, this stipulation, ha-mitzvah ha-joth, is directed toward you, el-atom, the ones performing the religious rituals who claim to be teachers, ha-kohen." Malachi 2:1. If, you do not listen, lo shama, and if, you do not place it on your heart, considering it logically, simel lab, to give, la Nathan, some significance, respect, and dignity, karbowed, to my name, la Shemeni, says, Amar, Yahweh, Yahuwah, of the spiritual representatives, Zaba, then I will dispatch, Shalak, among you, Bar Atom, a thoughtful curse which keeps you bound to your embittering existence, Eth ha-Meira. So, I will condemn, Wa-Arah, your pronouncements and your blessings, Eth Baraka Atom. Moreover, Wa-Gam, I will condemn them, Wa-Arah Hu, because, Ky, you will not consider this matter responsibly, Simal Lab. Malachi 2:2. Behold, Hine, I, myself, will rebuke and abhor, reprimand and disapprove, even insult and convict, any gar, your offspring and that which you scatter and sow, la hameth hazera, to such an extent, that I will spread, zara, the viscera and dung, the guts 315 and fecal matter, paresh, of your feasts, chag atom, upon your faces, alpana. Then it will be taken away and you with it, wanasa eth atom elhu. Malachi 2:3. Thereby, you will know, Yada, that, indeed, and by contrast, ky, I sent, Shalak, this instructive condition to you, el atom eth ha mitzvah ha joth, such that my covenant will continue, la haya berith any, through the Loi, by being one, eth Loi, says, Amar, Yahowah, of the assembled conscripts, Zaba. Malachi 2:4. My, any, familial covenant relationship, berith, was established with him, haya ethu. The opportunity to live, ha-chaim, and to be reconciled, wa-ha-shalam, I provided and bestowed, wa-Nathan, to them, hem, through him, la-hu. He showed great reverence and respect for me, mora wa-ye-eni, and for the presence of my name, wa-min panashem. He was wonderful, inspiring, and awesome, chatteth hu. Malachi 2:5. The trustworthy and reliable, Emeth, Torah, was in, higher bar, his mouth, Pehu. Furthermore, Wah, nothing perverse or unjust, all low, was found, Matzah, on his lips, Bar Sapphire. He walked with me, Holoketh Eni, reconciled and blessed, satisfied and content, Shalom, and on an elevated plain, above the fray, Wah bar my shore. And therefore, Wah, a great many, Rabbim, he turned, Shub, away from, Min, being perverted and corrupted, A1. Malachi 2-6. This is because, KY, the lips, Sapphire, of a Cohen, priest, Cohen, should closely examine and carefully consider, Shema, information leading to understanding, Dorth. 316 And they should search and inquire about, Wabakosh, the Torah, Torah, from, Min, his mouth, Pehu, because indeed, and by contrast, KY, he, is a messenger, Malach, of Yahowah of the spiritual implements, Yahowah Zaba. Malachi 2-7. As for, Wah, yourselves Ahem, you have turned, Shah, from, Min, the way, Derek. You have caused many to stumble as rabbis, Kashal Rabbim, by way of, Bar, your Torah instructions and teachings, Bar ha-Torah. You corrupt and invalidate, you pervert and mutilate, Shakat, the familial covenant relationship, Varith, of the Loi, Ha-Loi, says, Ma, Yahowah, Yahowah, of the assembled envoys, Zaba. Malachi 2-8. Furthermore, Wagam, I, Eni, myself, will give you all over, Nathaneth Atom, to being despised and discredited, perceived as worthless, an object of scorn, even hated, bizarre, and to being abased, humbled, and humiliated, belittled as cultural outcasts, Shepal, for the sake of, La, the entire, Shirl, family, insomuch as, Ka, that which is related to your mouth, Pe Asher Atom, is unobservant and ignorant, Ein Shema, of my ways, Eth Derek Eni. And yet still, Wah, you respect and honor, lifting up, Nasa, the presence of, Panah, your Torah, Bar ha-Torah. Malachi 2-9. Is there not one, Ha-Lo Echad, Father, Ab, for, La, all of, Shirl, us, Anaku? Did not Ha-Lo, one, Echad, God, El, create, Bara, us, Anaku? So why, Madua, are we unfaithful and unreliable, even unscrupulous and untrustworthy, Bagad, toward our brethren, Ishbach, each, Lahu, violating and defiling, breaking and degrading, Shaul, the covenant 317 relationship, Barith, of our fathers, Abanaku? Malachi 2:10. Yahuwdym, has been unscrupulous and untrustworthy, and he has allowed himself to be controlled by others, becoming unreliable, Bagad. He has engaged and acted, Asar, in an abhorrent and loathsome manner, Towrah, in, Var, Yisra'el, and in, Wabar, Yaruwshalaim. Indeed, KY, Yahweh, is in violation of the agreement and has desecrated and defiled, Shaul, that which is set apart, Kodesh unto Yahuwah. This is because, Asher, he has directed his affection toward, Ahab, and is now ruled by the Lord Baal, Baal, within the house, Baith, of a foreign god, observing a deity in a different language, El Naka. Malachi 2:11. Yahowah, will choose to cut off and banish, Karath, the individual, Ish, who, Asher, engages in this, Asahai, either as a witness providing testimony, Ha-Ed, or one who responds, Waha-Anna, from, Min, camping out and dwelling, Ohol, with Yaakov, when, Wah, the offering is presented, Minsha, to approach and be present with, Nigashla, Yahuwah, of the spiritual messengers, Zaba. Malachi 2:12. And this, Wajoth, is yet another thing, Sheni, you do, Asar you cover, Kasa, Yahuwah, altar, Eth my speech, with Eth, tears and expressions of sorrow, bitterly, Dima, shrieking and groaning, Anaka, because, Min, of your adversarial nature, narrow-mindedness, and troublesome experiences, Zah, such that there is no longer, Inod, any attention paid to or regard for the presence, Panah, of 318 the gift which has been offered, El ha-Minsha, nor any desire to receive or accept it, while alakak ratzon. With your hand, Min Yod Atom. Malachi 2:13. But you ask, Wah-Ma, so you say, what is the problem, Al-Ma, for what reason? Upon the grounds, Al, that, KY, Yahuwah, has repeatedly testified, Yud, by providing a thoughtful connection for you, Bayanota, such that you might understand, Bayan, the feminine manifestation of God's fiery light which empowered, enlightened, and elevated, Isha, you as a child, Noram Otter, with whom, Asher, you have been unfaithful, betraying her, Bagad Bahai. And yet, she is your companion, providing fellowship, adereth otter, and your covenant partner, the loving woman of your family, adereth otter. Malachi 2:14. Did ye not engage as one, lo ekadasar, and as a soul in corporeal fashion, seer, through the approach of his spirit, ruach lahu? And why was the one, maha ekad, inquiring about and seeking, bakosh, godly offspring, sowing the seeds to produce God's children, zera Elohim? Therefore, you should be observant, Shema, in conjunction with your spirit, ruach atom. And then concerning the feminine manifestation of God's fiery light who empowers, enlightens, and elevates, isha, of your childhood, noram otter, none of you should leave or betray or disregard her garments, al-bagad. Malachi 2:15. For indeed, and by contrast, if, you, atom, are hostile to and hate, opting to shun, saying, and, dismiss me, sending me away, Salak, says, Yahowah, Yahowah, the God, Elohim, of Yisrael 319 Yisrael, individuals who engage and endure with God, my garment, lebusheni, will be concealed and shrouded, kasa, with that which is destructive and wrong, ruined by those lacking moral restraint, Hamas, says, Yahowah, of the engaged conscripts, Zaba. Therefore, be observant, closely examining and carefully considering, Shema, in conjunction with, your spirit, ruach atom, and do not be unfaithful, lo bagad. Malachi 2:16. Moreover, you have wearied, Yaga, God, Elohim, with your words, dabar atom. But, you say, in what way, have we exhausted him, Yaga? In, you, atom, telling, everyone, shirl, that doing, asar, that which is incorrect, is good, tob, in, the eyes of, Yahowah, Yahowah, and that he, is willing to accept, even finds pleasure, shafets, in these things, bahem. If so, where is, the God, Elohim, who justly resolves disputes, who encourages sound decisions and good judgment, ha-mishpat. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 2:17. Lost in the swamp of the Talmud, perhaps? Adding insult to injury, not only is the connecting word omitted from all Bible translations, the message of Malachi 2:17 is separated from this next sentence by a contrived chapter break, and as we transition to the next sentence in Malachi, therefore, from was erased from the Masoretic text, but it is found in the Dead Sea 320 scrolls. It is important because it connects what God just revealed to what he is about to say. Therefore, be aware, from forkshi, look now and see, hine, pay attention and behold, I, myself, will send out, shalak, I will dispatch, my messenger, malach my spiritual representative and heavenly envoy, and, he will prepare, pana, he will make ready by changing people's perspectives, encouraging them to pay attention, turning people to, the way, derek, path, to approach, my appearance and presence, pen Then, suddenly, pitom, in an instant and straight away, surprising many, they will come, they will arrive, returning, from forkshi versus he in the mount, to, his royal residence and temple, hekelhu, his sanctuary and home, the upright one, down, the upright pillar of the tabernacle, its support and foundation, along with the herald, malach, the representative, the prophet and messenger, the interpreter and ambassador, of the covenant relationship, adereth, of the family, whom, to provide the benefits of the relationship, Asher, you, atom, seek, Vakosh, you have learned about, and who, Asher, you, atom, have favorably experienced and strongly prefer, Shafets, you want and have longed for, having shown affection for him. Behold, hine, look now and see, he, himself is coming, Hubo, he, himself, will return, from forkshi, says, Yahowah, Yahowah, of the spiritual implements, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:1. It is Yahweh's desire that his people come to recognize him. For that to occur, someone needs to step up and convey his message. And therein lies the problem 321, since the secular have no interest in knowing him and the religious are too lost to find him. Rabbis study their Talmud in Babylonian Aramaic and Christians prioritize their Greek New Testament, leaving precious few to learn Hebrew and render God's words such that those seeking Yahowah will discover what he is offering and requesting in return. Nonetheless, Yahowah has committed to providing a messenger. This individual will garner people's attention, change their perspective regarding God, and prepare them to approach Yahweh's appearance and presence, doing so in God's way. Moreover, he will stress that God is returning with his Son. Had this been plural, we would have read it as addressing the two messengers appointed by Yahweh during the waning days of the time of Jacob's troubles. And yet, since Yahweh has announced Eliah's role, this could be the other. Ready or not, Yahweh is returning. The upright pillar of the tabernacle will soon enter his royal residence, inviting all of his children inside. He will not, however, be arriving alone. The Zarewah of the covenant will be accompanying him. His identity is also known because he is someone we have previously experienced, someone who has shown us the way, someone we adore, David, the Messiah, King, and beloved Son of God. Up to their normal no good, the Masoret rabbis removed the he, himself from their version of this statement. They didn't much like the idea of Yahweh himself returning, because they are not on speaking terms. Similarly, they changed they will come to he will come. The idea of Daud being the undisclosed Mashiach 322 is not appealing to them either because it reveals that they were ignorant of what should have been obvious. Speaking of Father and Son. But, who, my, can comprehend and endure them, Tuel, can control or contain them, even resist them, from Forkchi because them is omitted from the mount, on their arrival, Bo, their return, from Forkchi. Who, my, can remain present and standing, Harmod, in, Bar, his sight, Rahu, when he appears? Because indeed, Ky, he is like, Hukar, he is similar and can be compared to, a refiners, Zareph, testers and examiners flawless, perfect, and pure, fire, Esh, and, Wa, similar to, Ka, can be compared to, a launderer's, Kabbas a cleaner who washes garments detergent, Borith, laundering soap. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:2. The answer to these questions is provided in the Torah's presentation of the Berith and Miqra'ey. We have to accept the terms of the former and attend the latter to be present and remain standing before Yahweh and Daud. We have become accustomed to Yahweh referring to himself as light, and to recognize that, upon his return, both he and his Son will appear as light. And we have been made aware, especially with regard to the day of reconciliations, that our spiritual mother will be like a refiner's fire, purifying us, in addition to enlightening us with her perfect and pure light, so that we are prepared to stand before our God and King. And while the launderer's soap is another interesting metaphor, reinforcing the fact that we have to be cleansed of religion to appear perfect in God's eyes, I had not previously considered that Borith, meaning laundering soap, and Berith, meaning familial covenant 323 relationship, are simply different vocalizations of the same textual spelling. And, Wa, he will dwell, Yashab, he will sit, restore, and establish, as a refiner, Zareph, as one who tests and purges, and, Wa, as one who cleanses and restores, Taha, as a purifier who makes brilliant, that which is valuable, Kezif, that which is desirable and longed for, while purifying and renewing, Wa Taha, while restoring and cleansing, the children, Ben, sons of the Loi, the one who unites and joins together, speaking of Moseh. He will filter them out and refine them, Zakak Ethem, he will remove their impurities by purifying them in a crucible, similar to, Ka, shimmering gold, Hazahab, that which shines brilliantly, and like, Wakar, those who yearn to be redeemed, Hakezif, that which is valuable and desirable, and they will be able to approach, Wahialah, Yahweh, a transliteration of, our Eloah, God has directed in His Towrah, teaching regarding His higher existence, coming together and drawing near, Nigash, stepping forward and being present, as a gift, correct and innocent, Minshabar Zardaka, a vindicated offering, the fruit of being right, justified and acquitted. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:3. This is the promise of reconciliations, whereby the religious infidelity of Yisra'el and Yahuwdym is ended, and their rabbinical blemishes are removed. Now correct, as innocent children, refined and purified, God's people become precious gifts before their heavenly Father. This is the day of reconciliations. Then the gift, Wa Minsha, the offering and veneration, of Yahuwdym, the beloved of 324 year, will be pleasing and acceptable, Arab, favorably received, forming a close association which is agreeable to, Yahowah, written as directed by His Towrah, teaching. And Yaruwshalaim, the source of guidance on restoration and reconciliation, shall be like, Ka, the days Yowmim, of old, Olam, and will be forevermore, and like, Wakar, the former, Kadmoni, years, Shana, times of renewal. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:4. This is Yahweh's heart's desire. His beloved have come home. To him, they are a gift, now pleasing and acceptable. Moreover, on this day, the purpose of Yaruwshalaim has been restored. And while God is elated, to remain that way he must come to terms in short order with those responsible for having created the rift between him and his people. The day of reconciliations is also Judgment Day. To be among those who are reconciled, come to Yada Yahowah by being Torah observant, accepting the terms of the covenant and attending the Miqra'ey. Should you prefer to be judged, here is Yahweh's list of grievances. When I approach, wa karab, when I come and present myself, you, el atom, it will be for judgment, la ha mishpat, to justly resolve disputes, to execute justice while exercising good judgment. I will be, wa haya, I will exist as a swift, yet diligent, maha, a ready and quick, very prompt, witness providing testimony, against those who engage in the corrupting influence of religion, baha kasap, in opposition to those who enchant with their prayers and religious rites, those who encourage worship, including seductive spirituality and sorcery, against those who are unfaithful, committing adultery, wa bahanaf, 325 against those who violate the covenant vows, against those who mislead through mistaken beliefs, by making false promises, and by perverting the truth, wa baha shaba laha sheka, against those whose oaths are deceptive and who lie about the promise of 7, and against those who are controlling, defrauding those who work by extorting their wages as if they were entitled to receive the remuneration of those who are employed. Even mistreating disadvantaged widows and orphans, wa ba ashak sakar saka almana wa yatham, in opposition to those who mistreat others, especially the disadvantaged, exploiting those who make an honest living and those who are genuinely in need, all while thrusting foreigners aside, wa natajur, while turning away those who do not speak the same language or share the same religious customs, because they do not respect me, while Oyeni declares, Amar, states, Yahweh, Yahowah, who is God, Almighty. Elohim, the Mighty One, from Forkchi. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:5. For Yahweh to bring us back into the garden of great joy, he must do some weeding, removing the killjoys. The religious and unfaithful will be rounded up and exterminated. Anyone who defrauded his people by misleading them, or extorting them will be uprooted. It is the day of Yah, when those who do not respect Yah will come to fear him. Having now spoken of those being refined, who are seen as a precious gift to God, let's take a closer look at the terminology Yahweh selected to describe the 6 things he will judge and condemn on this day. First, Baha Kasap, those who promote the corrupting influence of religion with their prayers and sacred rites, those who encourage worship, especially spirituality. 326 inches light of the previous statement concerning Yahuwdah becoming pleasing and acceptable and Yaruwshalaim returning to her former glory, the religion being judged and condemned is Judaism. Christians and Muslims will have been long gone. This is Judgment Day for rabbis. The God that they denied is going to deny them. Second, Bahanaf, those who are unfaithful, committing adultery by violating their covenant vows. In the end, it will not matter if you are an Orthodox Jew caught in an act of infidelity, having divorced Yahweh, or a Christian with a new and different covenant. Anyone and everyone who has not accepted the 5 terms and conditions of Yahweh's covenant will be judged and found wanting. In this light, the prerequisite of the covenant, which is to walk away from religion and politics, from the family of man, is particularly germane. Third, Wabaha Shaba Laha Sheka, those who mislead through mistaken beliefs, by making false promises, and by perverting the truth. All I can say is goddamn religion. Fourth, Bar Ashak Sakar Saka Almanawa Yatham, those who are controlling, defrauding and exploiting those who actually work by extorting their wages as if they were entitled to receive their compensation, all while mistreating disadvantaged widows and orphans. This is ultra-Orthodox Judaism. Rabbis control fellow Jews by defrauding them. They exploit those who actually work because they are parasites, demanding that the government subsidize them while they play at their religion. All the while, these self-indulgent perverts prey upon orphans and widows. This is one of the 2 most divisive battles currently being waged in Israel. To cling to power, Netanyahu indulged the ultra-Orthodox by subsidizing their 327 unwillingness to work at anything other than their religion. The new government was elected in large part to curtail paying Jews to be counterproductive. Fifth, Natajur, those who thrust foreigners aside, turning away those who do not speak the same language or share the same religious customs. This is the second battle brewing in Israel. Rabbis are demanding that they alone maintain the right to determine who is and is not Jewish. Their test is not DNA but, instead, acquiescence to rabbinic Judaism. And sixth, Lo Yer Eni Amar Yahweh Elohim, those who do not respect Yahweh, who just so happens to be God. All of those ensnared by rabbinic Judaism Lo Yer Yahweh instead of Yada Yahowah. You have been warned and you know the consequence. It is time to choose sides. This is because, Kyine, Yahweh, Yahowah, an accurate presentation of the name of Eloah, God is guided by His Towrah, instructions regarding His higher existence have not changed. Lo Shana, I have not altered my nature, disguised myself, or ever acted differently, not this year or any year. You, Atom, the children of Jacob, then Jacob, the child in my footsteps, the ones I receive and reward, the Israelites who are steadfast, will not perish or be destroyed, Lo Kala, will not be wiped out or eliminated. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:6. God may grow, but He does not change? There is no place with Him for those who embrace a Babylonian Talmud, a Zohar or Mishnah, nor a New Testament or Quran. If it cannot be found in the Torah, Nabi, wa Mizmor, it should not be associated with Yahowah. Therefore, Rabbinic Judaism did not supplant the covenant, Christianity did not replace Jews, and Muslims 328 remain as lost as ever. Religion has not trumped relationship. The Torah has not been augmented or annulled. Yahowah began His prophecy through Malachi by saying that He loves Yisrael, the children of Jacob. And now, since He does not change, He still loves them. Therefore, He is going to fulfill His promises to protect His people from their enemies. And this is one of many reasons He is obliterating Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and socialist secular humanism. It is the story of Jacob and Esau, of love and hate. As much as God wants to restore His relationship with Yahuwdym, even He cannot do so without them changing their thinking and attitude. However, it is from Lamin, the days of your fathers, Yowm and Atom, that you have turned away from, so min, that you have rejected, having forsaken, abolished while departing from, Kal perfect, my clearly communicated and inscribed prescriptions which cut you into the relationship, cook any, my engraved thoughts of what you should do to get the most out of life and based upon what I deem necessary. You have paid no attention to them, Lo Shema, you have not examined or considered them, failing to observe them, Kal perfect. Return to me, Shu Lne, choose to change your perspective, attitude, and thinking toward me, Kal imperative, and I will return to you, Wa Shu Atom, I will want to come back and restore, repair, renew, and reconcile you, Kal imperfect cohortative, says, Amar, Yahowah, the pronunciation of Yahuwah as guided by His Towrah, teaching, of the heavenly implements, Zaba. 320 Ninibut you say, Wa Ma, in what way, Wa Ma, should we change, return, and be reconciled, Shu, turn around, alter our perspective, attitude, and thinking, and become renewed and restored, Kal imperfect. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:7. It happened multiple times long ago. They came out of Miqra'ey in unison but soon splintered into rebellious factions and roamed the wilderness for 40 years. Israel was last united under Daud, but even then, there were cracks all around the edges, including a coup d'état attempted by one of his sons. There was a brief moment of unity under Solomon, but it would not last as the king became too enamored with his pagan wives. Yahweh became Torah observant briefly under Hezekiah then Josiah, but those would be the last times. Yahowah communicated and Yahweh paid no attention. It is largely why I was afforded this job. There were no Jews who wanted it. They were too busy being religious to care about reconciling the relationship. For God to restore His people, they must change. So, for Yowm Kipurym to be a success, for there to be Israelites and Yahuwdym to reconcile, God has to get their attention and convince them to do an about-face. And therein lies the purpose of Yada Yahowah. Choose to return to me and I will want to return to you, choosing to reconcile and restore you. Yahowah to Malachi circa 450 BCE. There are many ways that Yahowah could have answered the last question, and in fact, He has already answered it in many ways. But, in light of the ransom He paid to redeem His children, He chose the following example. 330 How is that man robs and betrays God, Ha Koba Adam Elohim, can men exploit and plunder, intentionally alter and circumvent God? In actuality, KY, you are all exploiting and robbing, Atom Koba, you are deceptively stealing, intentionally altering, and circumventing, that which is associated with me, Ethni. But you ask, Wa Ma, in what way, Va Ma, have we exploited, circumvented, or betrayed you, Koba Otter, had we altered something from you and robbed you? By questioning the means to being enriched, Masa, pondering a tenfold enrichment, from Ma, to question Ashar, the means to being enriched, and to being chosen and lifted up, Taruma, the contribution and offering voluntary given to ascend, grow, and share, from room, to rise and grow up and Taruwa, to sound an alarm and convey the message. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:8. We little men can rob God of His heart's desire. And many have done so by deliberately altering His instructions and circumventing His intent. Where He wanted a relationship, they have imposed a religion. When He wanted to liberate, empower, and enrich His children, they fought to control and degrade them, exploiting the planet. Yahweh's intent is rather simple. He wants to lift up his children and raise them, helping us grow by sharing all he has to give, enriching us exponentially in the process. This is the purpose of the Torah, adereth, and Miqra'ey. By deliberately altering God's testimony and circumventing his intent, rabbis have robbed the Almighty. He has been deprived of countless sons and daughters who would otherwise have enriched his 331 existence too. This is the tithe and offering Yah has desired more than any other. The Masoretic text variation on Malachi 3-9 reads, "In the curse you are cursed, and with me you rob the nation as a whole." The Qumran scroll 4q reveals that God said. Your perspective, way of looking at this, 4q, is based upon appearances, upon how you look in the sight of others, 4q, but you actually extort and betray me, you rob and plunder, circumventing me, in addition to all of the Gentiles, other individuals living around the world. Malachi, Messenger, Malachi 3:9. When the religious massa question the means to be enriched and Towrah, be chosen and lifted up, growing and sharing with God through his covenant, they circumvent Yahweh's intent and rob him of the family he desires. Similarly, they rob humankind of the opportunity to live with God. In addition, when religious leaders take tithes and offerings from the people, they corrupt God's plan. He did not want a paid clergy. Everything of value which was contributed was to be stored for and then given to the disadvantaged, particularly widows and orphans. And yet rabbis expropriate it all for personal financial gain. Religious leaders are not only greedy, self-serving hypocrites, but by acting this way, they defraud people the world over. Yisra'el, for example, was asked to follow Yahweh's Torah instructions, so that everyone who encountered a Yisraelite would be able to see the relationship God intended being played out before their eyes. But what they have come to witness instead is religious hypocrisy and the abuse of power. 332 Return, come, arrive, and be included, with every aspect of, the means to be exponentially enriched, masa, pondering a tenfold enrichment and to ponder the implications of tithing, from to question ashar, the means to being enriched, within, the home, baith, the family, treasuring, ozar, the great riches, that which will be, wahaya, freshly harvested, tariff, for my family, baith within my home. So please, I urge you, choose to test me, bachan observe and scrutinize my response to learn if I am genuine, and can be trusted, try me, kal imperative, in this, Joth, says, Yahowah, written as directed by his Torah, teaching, of the corps of envoys who assist, Zaba. See if I will not respond and open, imlo pater, will be generous and release, for you all, la atom, the windows and floodgates, etheruba, of the heavens, ha shamim, and pour forth, on your behalf, la atom, the blessing of reconciliation, baraka, perfect covenant peace and the present of prosperity, the ideal circumstances, until, it is more than sufficiently supplied, Bailey Day. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:10. I do not recall testing God, but I have found this proposition to be true. The more I invest in learning and sharing, the richer and more satisfying my life becomes. When we return to Yah embracing the means he has provided to enrich our lives, we are never disappointed. We can trust him to offer more than we need. God is inviting us to challenge him. He wants to prove that he loves us. Moreover, he wants us to be confident and courageous, knowing that we can depend upon him all along the way. 333 The reason that I have never felt the need to test God by asking him to prove something to me, as so many others have done, including Moseh, is that he has already offered more evidence of his existence and inspiration than I can even process. His words are brilliant. His prophecies are exacting. His advice is uplifting. He is always consistent and always right. That is enough. Yahweh is God, that is for certain. While I've not tested Yahweh, he has done for me what he has promised. Per his request, I took on Islam, then Christianity and Judaism, conspiracy, socialism, communism, and patriotism, any one of which would normally have put me in harm's way, and yet here I am, blasting away, happy and free. This is what would have happened had there been no rabbis or religion. I would rebuke and convict, I would sharply criticize and censure, expressing strong disapproval, and would severely reprimand, on your behalf, la atom, against one who devours and destroys, kal, consumes his prey. He will not trouble or batter you, walo shakath la atom, he will not ravage, devastate, or destroy you, or the harvest, peri, the fruit of young children who are descendants, of the earth, armor. Then the vine, jivan, the tendrils of life and growth, of the field, sade, will not be unproductive, while lo Sakel, will not be childless or bereaved, for you, La'atam, says, Amar, Yahweh, Yahowah, of the messengers, Zaba. Malachi 3:11. And all, Shirl, of the Gentiles, Gawim, will deem you properly guided and fortunate, Asher eth Atom, see you as advancing on the right path, appropriately led in the way to get the most out of life, blessed as a result of a 334 renewed interest in learning and a changed attitude, because indeed, KY, you are, higher, exist as, a desirable and delightful realm, Atom Eres Chefetz, an exemplar of a pleasing and pleasurable land, attests, Amar, promises, Yahweh, Yahowah, of the heavenly assistants, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:12. The moral of this story is to listen to God and do what Yahweh has asked, engaging as he has requested, and he will return infinitely more than we can provide. Put him to the test. I am living proof of the initial claim, and it is actually a big deal. I exposed and condemned the destroyer of his people, proving that Muhammad was a fraud and that Allah was modeled after Satan in Prophet of Doom, Islam's terrorist dogma in Muhammad's own words. By reordering the Quran chronologically and setting it into the context of Muhammad's putrid life using the earliest hadith, I was able to completely discredit the religion, and undermine the justification for Islamic terrorism. The book, the supporting website, and the many thousands of radio interviews that followed garnered countless death threats, and yet through it all Yahweh's protection has been absolute. Subsequently, I have published the 4 volumes of Questioning Paul, destroying the credibility of Paul's letters. Simultaneously, I was able to discredit the Christian New Testament, and unmask replacement theology, obliterating the credibility of the most anti-Semitic institution in human history. In years past, I would have been burnt at the stake. For good measure, Yada Yahowah, Observations, Coming Home, and Babel have removed the kippah from Judaism, leaving the rabbis exposed. Normally, that would be a risky proposition because they are a vicious lot, 335 ever ready to pick a fight and deploy an endless supply of flying monkeys. Through it all, by contributing to Yahweh's rebuke of those abusing his people, I was enveloped in his protection. I have come to appreciate what God means when he writes Yahweh of the vast array of spiritual implements. He deploys them to protect his own. I have never been, nor will I ever be, subject to lo shakath la'atam, being troubled or battered, nor has the resulting harvest. But even more than this, my life has become a microcosm of the second part of Yahweh's promise, as can yours. As a result of what we have accomplished together, there is an ever-growing adama, harvest from all over the earth. The Jivan, vine which gave life to Yisrael is lo Sakel, no longer unproductive or childless. While the concluding promise was written to encourage Yisrael to be all Yahweh had envisioned, it is also true in my life, as it should be in yours. As we study and learn from the Torah, Nabi, wa Mizmor, we become Asher eth, properly guided and fortunate. We advance on the right path because we are appropriately led in the way to get the most out of life, blessed as a result of a renewed interest in learning along with a changed attitude. Asher, indeed. It is the word that brought us to this place. Not long ago, I made a claim that may have seemed as if I were blaming the wrong people for all Jews have suffered these past 2,400 years. While not exonerating the Romans, Roman Catholics, Muslims, Nazis or progressives for their abusive approach to God's people, had there not been rabbis, these people would not have been allowed to torment Yahuwdym. God has just affirmed the validity of that conclusion. 336 The 3 Hebrew letters which comprise Asher, translated as will deem you properly guided and fortunate, convey a wealth of relevant ideas. To be Asher is to be blessed, to be happy, and to possess a joyful attitude as a result of being the beneficiary of favorable treatment. The Asher are seen advancing on the right path, appropriately led in the way to get the most out of life, blessed as a result of a renewed interest in learning and a changed attitude. Asher is the true Holoka. By stepping along the correct and straight, narrow and proper path to stand upright, securely established and completely safe, our lives matter. According to God, religious leaders are not godly, but instead, they work against him. It is one thing to ignore Yahweh, but altogether another to oppose him. And yet, this is what Rabbinic Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have done. Your words, Dabarim Atom, your message and your statements, oral declarations and written pronouncements, have been harsh and severe, even arrogant, Chazak, have been obstinate in your attempt to establish yourselves, over and against me, Aleni, says Amar, Yahowah, a transliteration of Yahuwah is instructed in his Towrah, teaching regarding his higher existence. Yet, why, you ask, Amar, how, Ma, have we written and spoken words, Dabar, have we communicated a message, over and against you, Alotta? Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:13. Yahweh is continuing to speak to and about Yisrael and Yahuwdah. Therefore, the religious statements and texts he is condemning are found in the Babylonian Talmud, in the Mishnah and Zohar. Yahweh has described the words of the rabbis as harsh, arrogant, and obstinate. He has also stated that these same rabbis and 337 their gaggle of Haredim are clueless. They have not only written Yahweh out of their lives, but they are also still living in denial. They worship men as if they were gods and are now oppressing themselves religiously and politically, even economically. Judaism is the Exodus in reverse. The religious have long fought a war of words against God, trying their best to establish themselves over him. It is why Yahweh's name, which means I exist and I am the source of existence, was expunged from the written record by religious clerics who chose to call themselves rabbis, which means great, high, and exalted. These things noted, do not gloat on behalf of Christianity or Islam. God had plenty to say about these plagues and it was similarly indicting. The rabbinical response is a feigned denial, and yet the preponderance of religious men and women know that their message is contrary to God's, and that as such, there is no way for them to be right. It is why they stress belief over knowing, faith over trust. It is why rabbis have Jews so preoccupied with being religious, providing vital advice on when to poop and how to wipe their asses, that there is no time left for rational thought. Rabbis have fooled those who have consented to be fooled, but not God. He has their number. You have said, Amar. It is futile, Shawa, there is no advantage, making it worthless and of no effect to suffer and be mistreated, ravaged to nothing, to serve, Abad, to expend the effort and energy to work with, God, Elohim. By comparison, KY, how are we to profit, Wamar Batsa, how are we going to scam the system and plunder the people, gaining an advantage over them for our benefit and satiate our greed, by observing, Shema, by closely 338 examining or carefully considering, focusing upon, his requirements and responsibilities, Mishmarith, his terms and conditions and his obligations, from my, to consider the implications of Shema, being observant, instead of, Waky, us walking, Holok, us conducting our lives, in mourning clothes into the darkness, Kadoranith, dressed in black and somber, from Kadar, to mourn, being gloomy, while wearing black, away from the presence of, Minpana, separated from the appearance of, Yahweh, God's name transliterated as guided by his Towrah, instructions, of the vast array of spiritual envoys, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:14. It is true, there is no money in being truthful when it comes to God. And since God's word is so counter to religion, those who share it are maligned. That said, the benefits of recounting Yahweh's requirements and responsibilities are beyond our wildest imaginings while the cost of opposing him is damning. Ever since I began comparing Yahweh's testimony to that found in the Talmud, New Testament, and Quran, it has become obvious that these contrarian accounts exist because, without them, there is no way to control and fleece the masses. With the covenant, there is nothing to fear, no one to pay, and no reason to obey. Those who make a living being religious must lie. To our ears, it is one thing to hear of the conditions God has established for us but not as comfortable to learn that he, too, has responsibilities. And yet, what would happen to us if he decided not to return on Yowm Kipurym, if he had reneged on his commitment to supporting his son serving as the Pesach Ale, if he did not want to honor the promises he made regarding the covenant? God is actually more restricted than we are 339 because, while we can choose to listen to God or men, Yahweh must honor all of his promises. One of the many reasons that we do not need to test God is statements like this one. He reported in our distant past what we would come to experience in our present. The ubiquitous black mourning suits worn by the Haredi are a recent phenomenon. It began in Crown Heights, New York in the 1940s and 1950s during the Chabad Lubavitcher movement. The Stremel, weasel hat from Poland, was gradually replaced by the black hat, in coordination with their mournful approach to life. More than anything, ultra-Orthodox Jews of Holok Kadoranith Min Pana Yahweh, walked into the darkness and away from the presence of Yahweh. Trying to remain distinct, they have become common, no different than Christians, Muslims, and secularists in this regard. This appears to be the prophet's lament. And, now, Otter, at this time, we, Anaknu, pronounce our blessings upon and encourage, Ashar, are guided by and form relationships with, the presumptuous, insolent, and arrogant, Zed, the self-willed and contemptible. Moreover, Gam, those who engage in and act upon, Asar, those who profit from, that which is wicked and wrong, Risha, that which is ungodly in violation of the Torah, unethical and incorrect, prosper, Banar, they build, erecting new edifices, and grow. And yet, even though, Gam, they test and try, Bakshan, they scrutinize and tempt, God, Elohim, the Almighty, they are allowed to slip away, Malat, they escape, appearing to get away with it. Malachi 3:15. But then, at that time, as those who revere and respect Yahweh, Yahowah, will communicate, Debar, will explain, conveying the message, as 340 individuals, with one another, with their neighbors and associates, friends and countrymen, paying attention so that they respond to, Kashab, attending to and hearing, Yahweh, God's name transliterated as guided by His Towrah, instructions on His higher existence. Those who respect and revere, Yahweh, the proper pronunciation of Yahuwah, our Eloah, God has directed in His Towrah, teaching regarding His higher existence and our Shalom, restoration, and His highly regarded name, who are thoughtful in their consideration of His name, will listen, Shama, to what was written, Katab, on the scroll, Sefer, memorializing the inheritance, Zikaron, to remember the agreement, in advance of His appearance, Panahu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:16. It must have been hard for Malachi to acknowledge that he had seen his people encouraging the presumptuous while praising the insolent. But what he witnessed has become our reality, especially among the Haredim and in Yisrael. Of even greater concern to Malachi, the rabbis have gotten away with it, because there has been none among his people willing to challenge the religious leaders. It will not be until we are on the cusp of Yahweh's return that a meaningful number of Yahwim will come to know Yahweh sufficiently to show regard for His name. But by doing so, they will be rebuking the rabbis while freeing all who will listen from Judaism. Further, the Yahwim who we are told will finally be paying attention and responding appropriately to Yahweh will be getting their guidance from what was Katab Sefer, written on the scroll of the Torah. This 341 proclamation serves to differentiate God's testimony from the Babylonian Talmud with its mystical oral origins. Just as there are consequences for being wrong, there are benefits to being right. While the choice is yours, you have only until Yowm Kipurym to decide. So they will be, Wahaya, they will exist, mine, La Eni, approaching me, says Yahweh, a transliteration of, our Eloah, God has directed in His Towrah, teaching regarding His higher existence, of the vast array of spiritual beings, Zaba, organized force who do His will, upon the approach of that day, Laha Yawm, when, to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, Asher, I will engage to treasure and enrich my chosen, Asar Segula, I will act with respect to my most valued possession. And I will be merciful, delivering them from harm's way, Wachamal Alhem, I will show compassion and kindness, saving them, in the manner, Ka Asher, consistent with the joy, an individual, a man, shows by saving, Chamal, by compassionately sparing, his son, Al-Ben-Hu, his child, who serves, Harbad, who works, labors, and assists, with him, Eth-Hu, alongside him. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:17. We should be delighted to hear our Heavenly Father say, You are mine. It not only conveys the intent of a loving relationship, but it also reveals what God treasures. For the first time in a long time, Yahweh will be able to enjoy the benefits of the covenant and enrich His children. For God, each saved soul, each person His word and spirit have delivered from harm's way, is a family reunion. A lost sheep is found as a wayward child comes home. There will be great joy in Shamaim. 342. Is it a big deal or not? I'll let you decide. How much greater will Yahweh's affection be on this day for those Ben Harbad Eth-Hu, children who have served with Him? While we are not competing for God's love, much less accolades, doing something with Yahweh that He values, seems like a good idea. Return, shub, change and come back, and you will see, Wara, you will witness and perceive, the distinction between, Bayan, the difference in understanding between, those who are right, Zadik, the correct, upright, and vindicated, and those who are wrong, La Rasha, the incorrect and condemned, and come to appreciate the difference between, Bayan, one who works with God in conjunction with the relationship, Abad Elohim La Asha, versus someone who does not serve Him, Lo Abad Hu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:18. Just as there is a distinction between God and man, between the Torah and Talmud, and between a relationship and a religion, so is there a distinction between those who are right and wrong. Those who are right enjoy working with God. Those who are wrong prefer the company of men. Here for your consideration is where Malachi has taken us. Therefore, please pay attention because, Afine, I, myself, will send out, Eni Shalak, my messenger, Malak Eni. He will open the way to me, preparing my people by changing their perspective, encouraging them to pay attention to my presence and appearance, Wapana Derek La Pen Eni. Then suddenly, straight away and surprising many, Wapitom, they will come, Bo, to his royal residence and temple, El Hekelhu, the upright one 343 down along with the herald, Wa Malak, of the covenant relationship, adereth, whom you have sought to show you the way, asher atom bakosh, and who you have favorably experienced and strongly prefer, asher atom chafetz. Behold, he himself, is coming, Hubo, says, Amar, Yahuwah, of the spiritual implements, Zaba. Malachi 3-1. But, who, can comprehend and endure them, much less resist them, Kuel, on their arrival, Bo, who, can remain present and standing, Halmod, in, his sight, Rahu. Because indeed, he is like, Hukar, a refiner's fire, Zareth, and similar to a launderer's, Karkabas, detergent designed specifically for the covenant, Borith. Malachi 3-2. Then he will restore and re-establish, Yashab, as one who tests and purges, Zareth, and as one who cleanses and purifies, Taha, that which is valuable, Kezif, while renewing, Taha, the children, Ben, of the Loi. He will filter out the impurities and refine them, Zakak Ethem, such that they are similar to shimmering gold, Zahab, and like, Wakar, those who are desirable because they yearn to be redeemed, Kezif. They will be able to approach, Wahayalah, Yahowah, coming together and drawing near, Negash, as a gift, correct and innocent, having become right, Mincha bar Zardaka. Malachi 3-3. Then the gift, Mincha, of Yahuwdym, will be pleasing and acceptable, Arab, to Yahowah, La Yahowah. And Yaruwshalaim, shall again be like the days of old, Kar 344 Yamim, and like the former years, Wakar Kadmanishanar. Malachi 3-4. When I approach, Wakarab, you all, El Atom, it will be for judgment, Laha Mishpat. I will be, Wahaya, a swift, yet diligent, Maha, witness providing testimony, Ed, against those who engage in the corrupting influence of religion, Bahakasap, against those who are unfaithful, committing adultery by breaking the covenant, Wabahanaf, against those who mislead through mistaken beliefs, making false promises by perverting the truth, Wabaha Shabalaha Sheka, and against those who are controlling, defrauding workers by extorting their wages as if they were entitled to receive the remuneration of those who are employed, even mistreating disadvantaged widows and orphans, Wabashak Sakar Saka Almana Yatham, all while thrusting foreigners aside who do not accept their customs, Wanatajer, because they do not respect me, Walo Ye'eni declares, Amar, Yahowah, God, Almighty, Elohim. Malachi 3-5. This is because, Yahowah, Yahuwah, have not changed, Lo Shana. You, Atom, Beni Yaakov, the children of Yisrael walking in my footsteps who I receive and reward, Ben Yaakov, will not perish or be destroyed, Lo Kala. Malachi 3-6. However, it is from, Lamin, the days of your fathers, Yawmim and Atom, that you have turned away from, having rejected, so min, my clearly communicated and inscribed prescriptions which cut you into the relationship, Cook any. You have paid no attention to them, Lo Shema? 345 of your own free will, choose to return to me, Shub el Eni, and I will want to return to you and restore you, Wa Shub el Atom, says, Amar, Yahuwah, of the heavenly implements, Zaba. But you say, Wa Ma, in what way, Ba Ma, should we change, return, and be reconciled, Shub. Malachi 3-7. How is that man robs and betrays God, circumventing him, Hakoba Adam Elohim? In actuality, you are all exploiting and robbing, Atom Koba, that which is associated with me, Eth Eni. But you ask, Wa Amar, in what way, Ba Ma, have we exploited, circumvented, or betrayed you, even altered something about you, Koba Otter? By questioning the means to being enriched, Masa, and to being chosen and lifted up to share, Taruma. Malachi 3-8. Your perspective, Ra, is based upon appearances, Ma'rei, upon how you look in the sight of others, but you actually extort and betray me, Koba Eni, in addition to all of the Gentiles, Hagawi Shurl. Malachi 3-9. Return, Bo, with, Eth, every aspect of, Shurl, the means to being exponentially enriched, Masa, within this home, El Baith, treasuring, Ozar, that which will be, Wahaya, freshly harvested, Taraf, in my family, Wa Baith Eni. So please, Wa Na, choose to test me and learn if I am genuine, and can be trusted, Bachan Eni, in this, Bar Joth, says Ma, Yahowah, of the core who assist, Zaba. 346. If I will not respond and open, Imlo Pater, for you all, La Atom, the windows and floodgates, Etharuba, of the heavens, Hashamayim, and pour forth, ik, on your behalf, la atom, the blessing of reconciliation, baraka, until, it is more than sufficiently supplied, Bailey Day. Malachi 3:10, and I will rebuke and convict, Gar, on your behalf, la atom, against the one who devours and destroys, Baha Kal. He will not trouble or batter you, while lo shaketh la atom, or the harvest, eth peri, of the earth, ha dama. Then the vine, Waha Jivan, of the field, Baha Sade, will not be unproductive, while lo sakel for you, la atom, says Amar, Yahweh, Yahowah, of the messengers, Zaba. Malachi 3:11, and all, Shirl, of the Gentiles, Yowm, will deem you properly guided and fortunate, seeing you as advancing on the right path, appropriately led in the way to get the most out of life, blessed as a result of a renewed interest in learning along with a changed attitude, Ashar eth atom, because indeed, ky, you are, higher, a desirable and delightful realm, atom eres chefets, attests, Amar, Yahweh, Yahowah, of the heavenly assistants, Zaba. Malachi 3:12, your words, oral declarations and written pronouncements, Dabarim atom, have been harsh and severe, even obstinate and arrogant in your attempt to establish yourselves, Chazak, over and against me, Aleni, says, Amar, Yahweh. Yet, why you ask, Amar, how ma, have we written and spoken words, Dabar, over and against you, Alota. Malachi 3:13. 347 you have said, Amar, it is futile to serve God because there is no reason to suffer for nothing, Shawa bad Elohim. By comparison, KY, how are we to profit, how are we going to scam the system and plunder the people, gaining an advantage over them for our benefit and satiate our greed, Wama Batsa, by observing, Shema, his requirements and responsibilities, Mishmarith Hu, instead of, Waky, us walking around, Holok, in mourning clothes into the darkness, Kadoranith, away from the presence of, Minpana, Yahweh, of the vast array of spiritual envoys, Zaba. Malachi 3:14, and, now, Otter, we, Anaknu, pronounce our blessings upon and encourage, Ashar, the presumptuous, insolent, and arrogant, even the self-willed and contemptible, Zed. Moreover, Gam, those who engage in and act upon, Asar, that which is wicked and wrong, Risha, prosper and grow, erecting new edifices, Banar. And yet, even though, Gam, they test and try, Batshan, God, Elohim, they are allowed to slip away, Malat. Malachi 3:15. But then, at that time, as, those who revere and respect, Yahweh, Yahowah, will communicate, Dabar, as individuals, Ish, with one another, with their friends and associates, Ethriahu, paying attention so that they can properly respond to, Kashab, Yahweh. Those who respect and revere, Yahweh, and, who are thoughtful in their consideration of his highly regarded name, La Cheshib Shemhu, will listen, Shama, to what was written, Wa Katab, on the scroll, Sefer, memorializing the 348 inheritance, Zikaroun, in advance of his appearance, Panahu. Malachi 3:16. So, they will be, Wahaya, mine, La Eni, says Amar, Yahweh, of the vast array of spiritual beings, Zaba, upon the approach of that day, La Ha Yowm, when, to enjoy the benefits of the relationship, Asher, I will engage to treasure and enrich my chosen, Asar Segula, and I will be merciful, delivering them from harm's way, Wa Chamal Alhem, in the manner consistent with the joy, Ka Asher, an individual, Ish, shows by saving, Chamal, his son, Al-Ben-Hu, who serves, Harbad, with him, Eth-Hu. Malachi 3:17. Return, Shub, and you will see, Wara, the distinction between, Bayan, those who are right, Zadik, and those who are wrong, La Rasha, and you will come to appreciate the difference between, Bayan, one who works with God in conjunction with the relationship, Abad Elohim La Asher, versus someone who does not serve him, Lo Abad Hu. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 3:18. The message is simple, come to know, trust, and rely upon Yahweh before it is too late. In the summer of 2023, we are only 10 years removed from the most important day in human history. Please pay especially close attention because, Kyhine, the day, Ha Yowm, will arrive, Bo, will come, when it will transpire, Wahaya, it will exist, that a fiery light will burn, Ba, will blaze and consume that which is combustible, like, Ka, the flaming light of a lamp for some and a furnace for others, Ha Tanyo, and 349 oven or crucible, or an open flame from a luminary, from near and near, the fiery light of a lamp. Those who are presumptuous and arrogant, insolent, self-motivated, self-reliant, and contemptible, in addition to all who engage in Yowm, everyone who does that which is wicked and wrong, Rishah, that which is ungodly in violation of the Torah, unethical and incorrect, will become worthless stubble. Cash will be chaff, dried up husks blown by the wind, worthless trifles, from kashash, assembled stubble and sticks, which will be set ablaze, burned up, and consumed, lahat'ethem, which will be scorched, devoured and destroyed in the flames. This day, ha-yawm, which is coming, habo, says, Amar, Yahowah, the proper pronunciation of Yahuwah, of the heavenly helpers, Zaba, organized force who are inclined to do his will, there will not be left behind, Asher lo azab, for them, lahem, a sucker, sorsh, or stem, a naf. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 4:1. It is important that we appreciate exactly what is transpiring. Bar is a fiery light which burns, consuming anything which is combustible. While Hartanua is typically rendered as furnace, its root suggests that oven and crucible are secondary connotations. Derived from near and newer, we should be anticipating the flaming light of a lamp, a blazing luminary. As such, this may well be symbolic of the set-apart spirit approaching with a menorah. After all, we were told to expect 2 witnesses as stems of an olive tree on either side of a menorah. Earlier, we heard Malachi lament that the presumptuous and arrogant, and the Rishah, wicked and wrong, appeared to be prevailing because his people were unwilling to hold them accountable. That problem is clearly being resolved. And yet, it is hard to imagine being 350 among the chaff after all Yahuwah and his associates have done to encourage a different outcome. Chaff is worthless stubble. It is dry and combustible, and thus it stands no chance before the flame. They were not prepared to meet God and came to deserve this fate. With Yahuwah's return preceded by his set-apart spirit, the resulting light will be overwhelming for those not already protected. The reference to no sorsh or a naf, sucker or stem may depict the realization that the 2 witnesses who once stood beside the menorah are now gone. The sucker may be the chota while the stem would have been el yer. With this prophetic revelation we are reminded that being right about God will save us from any ordeal, while being wrong enjoins it. Ultimately, being correct is all that matters, which explains why Yahuwah consistently reinforced the fact that Daud was Zardak, correct. This next statement, removed from the context of the previous one, where the religious are consumed in God's light, is one that Christians ignorantly misappropriate on behalf of their God. It may be among the earliest cases of gender confusion because the opening verb, Zarak, was written in the 3rd person, feminine, singular, as she will appear. Moreover, those frolicking on this day all revere Yahuwah's name and that of his Son, not the misnomer, Jesus Christ. So, then, she will appear, shining brightly, Zarak, she will ascend irradiating light in the east, becoming visible with the dawning of a new day, illuminating and enlightening, for you to approach, atom, to draw near, who respect, who revere, my name, Shem Eni, my personal and proper designation, as brilliant as the sun, Shemesh as sunlight, from an unused root meaning, to be brilliant, 351 vindicating and acquitting, Zardaka, rendering innocent by being right, correcting and perfecting, while healing and restoring, Mafi, delivering in a curative fashion, providing a remedy, making sound and wholesome, from to contemplate the who, what, why, where, when, and how of Rapha, healing, with the hem of her garment, Barkan of high, within the corners of her wings, the edges and extremities of her clothing, and the uttermost part of her flowing skirt. Come out, Yatsa, go out and come forth, serving as the operative term of the Yatsa, exodus, and leap, frolicking, push, jump around playfully and friskily, springing and skipping about, like, calves, egel, adolescent bovines, from egel, to come full circle, revolving around, from a stable, marbek, from a stall, from an unused root, from being tied up. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 4:2. Sorry, Christians, but unless your Jesus is transgender, then this is not indicative of your dead God's return. It is, of course, no better for the Haredi because they are toast. Those who do not acknowledge and capitalize upon our spiritual mother, Yahuwah's set-apart spirit, will not be among the celebrants on this day. The Ruach Kodesh, the feminine manifestation of God's spiritual nature, is light. She will Zarak, appear, shining brilliantly. And at this moment, she is illuminating and enlightening her children who Yeshem, revere and respect the name, Yahuwah. As such, there will be no Orthodox Jews, Christians, Muslims, or progressives among the celebrants. Nary one knows, much less respects, Yahuwah's name. The most telling use of Zarak is found in Yeshaya, Isaiah 61. Arise as light, Kumor, stand up and be enlightened, because your light, or Ath, has come, Bo, has arrived. Then, Wah, the glorious presence 352 and manifestation of power, Kabod, the splendor and person, the enrichment and empowerment, even the reward and resulting gift of Yahowah, has appeared, shining brilliantly, Zarek, is visible, illuminating and enlightening his shining light, upon you, Alath, over you. In context of Ba, fiery light and the Hartanyo, flaming luminary are related to Zarek, she who shines brightly, illuminating and enlightening. Further, it is not the sun which is reappearing after the nuclear winter of our discontent but, instead, the spirit who will appear Shemesh, as brilliant as the sun. Her role will be as it has always been, Tzadaka Wamathi, which is to vindicate and acquit, rendering innocent while healing and restoring. Shemesh Tzadaka is not a name or a title. It is a job description. Barkanafai can be rendered as with the hem of her garment, within the corners of her wings, by the edges and extremities of her clothing, and through the outermost part of her flowing skirt. Therefore, we would be wise to consider Yahweh's Torah, guidance regarding what is Barkanafai, in the hem of her garment. Therefore, to appreciate this metaphor, let's consider God's explanation. Speak to the children of Israel and ask them to make for themselves tassels, tzitz, cords of thread fastened on one end and hanging loose on the other, a fringe of flowing flowers, tuft of a feather, or lock of hair, from cheeks, to bloom, flower, and shine like the glistening feather on a wing, upon, the corners, hems, borders and wings, canaf, the extremities, outermost part, and skirt, even upon the wings of the Spirit, Mizmor 18:10, of their garments, pitched hem, their clothing and apparel, their deceitful cloaks and treacherous robes, throughout their generations. 353 And then place as a gift upon the tzitz, fringe, tzitz, cords of thread fastened on one end and hanging loose on the other, tassels of flowing flowers, tuft of a feather, or lock of hair, from cheeks, to bloom, flower, and shine like the glistening feather on a wing, on the canaf, hems and corners, canaf, the extremities, outermost part, and skirt, the borders and wings, a perfect violet blue, takelith, indigo, a deep, bluish-purple color, from tiklith, the complete consummation of perfection in the end. From kala, to accomplish what is needed in the end, finishing the job and fulfilling the promise, thread, pathel, twisted cord or braid, a woven strand or string, a fiber and filament, from pathel, to twist and wrestle. Bamidbar, Numbers 15:38. And it will exist for you as at tzitz, fringe tassel to bloom and shine by visually examining it and remembering, zakar, to recall and mention, to publicly proclaim, all of Yahweh's instructive conditions, mitzvah, terms of the relationship agreement and prescriptions, and then act upon them, wa'asa'ethem, engaging based upon them, so that you do not explore, wa'loto, you do not seek out and follow after, the lingering notions and subsequent ideas of your heart, achalibabatum, your remaining inclinations, or of your additional viewpoints, in which you are inclined to remain unfaithful, Zana continue to be a prostitute. Bamidbar, Numbers 15:39. Therefore, you should remember, Wazakar, to engage in and act upon all of the terms and conditions of my relationship agreement, Asar Mitzvah Eni, and remain set apart unto your God, Wahaya Kodesh La Elohim Atom. Bamidbar, Numbers 15:40. I am Yahweh, your God, who, for the benefit of the relationship, brought you out, Yatzeth Atom, from the realm of religious and political persecution, Mineres Miraim, to exist as your God, La Hayala 354 Atom La Elohim. I am Yahweh, your God. Bamidbar, Numbers 15:41. The set-apart spirit is dressed as Yahweh would have us adorned, with a tzitz in the canaf of her garment. And just as it did then, it reminds us to act upon the instructive conditions of the covenant. And now on Yowm Kipurym, this is our reward. This next bit of godly advice will be echoed in Yahweh's presentation of the invitation to be called out and meet of sukkah, shelters. Then, you will tread upon, Ozas, you will trample down, the wicked, Raza, the evil, the guilty and condemned who are counter to the standard, the ungodly and wrong, because, they will be, higher, they will come to exist as, insignificant ashes, worthless and filthy burned carbon byproducts ignominious dust, under, takath, the soles of your feet, kaf regal atom, during, the day, yawm, which, for the benefit of the relationship, Asher, I am going to perform, any asar, I will act and engage. Doing the work to accomplish what needs to be done, says, Amar, promises and declares, Yahowah, of the assembled spiritual envoys, Zaba. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 4:3. This speaks to the time between his Yowm Kipurym return and the commencement of the millennial Shabat on Sukkah. God is cleaning house so that his children will be safe. The religious, political, and conspiratorial will be expunged from the earth as God restores the conditions present inside the Garden of Eden. Yahweh will perform as promised. Therefore, the world as we know it will conclude with the great divide between the haves and have-nots. 355 If you want to be among those invited to camp out with our Heavenly Father and spiritual Mother in the Garden of Ultimate Joy, God has some advice. Remember, Zakar, recall the information and events mentioned in Moshe, the one who draws out, my associates Ebed Eni, my co-workers, Torah, source of teaching and instruction, guidance and direction, which, to lead to the benefits of the relationship and along the path to get the greatest joy out of life, Asher, I instructed and directed, Zawa, I decreed, ordained, and stated with authority, through him, Ethu, with him, upon, Wa, Korib, the cutting edge and dividing line, Korib, the cutting instrument, and double-edged engraving tool, burning and cauterizing, on behalf of all Yisrael, Al-Shul Yisrael, for all of those who engage and endure with God, even the prescriptions which cut you into the relationship, Cook, and the means to execute good judgment regarding resolving disputes, Mishpat. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 4:4. Beyond validating our conclusion that the Lo'i was Moshe and was used symbolically of the Torah, Yahweh has affirmed the place we must go to be right. It is expressly differentiated from the Babylonian Torah, Talmud. The place Yahweh's Torah was delivered became the cutting edge between light and ash, between being received or being rejected on this day. Within its pages, we find Yah's instructions, his prescriptions for living, and his means to justly resolve disputes. To encourage those who remain to capitalize on this opportunity to know Yahweh from the perspective provided by the Torah, and to benefit from the path through the Miqra'ey God, as described and enabled, Yahweh will send 2 additional witnesses, one of whom 356 will be the enormously entertaining and resolutely sarcastic, Eliah, more commonly known as Elijah. Look, Hine, pay close attention and behold, I, Anki, will send out, Shalak, I will extend, set apart, and dispatch on your behalf, La Atameth, Eliah, Eliach, Yah is God, the prophet, Hanabi, one who proclaims the message of the Almighty, to come, La Bo, to arrive before, Pana, the appearance and presence of the great, Hagadol, exceedingly important in magnitude and extent, intense and astonishing, distinguished, and awesome, Wahayeh, highly regarded and revered, Day, Yawm, of Yahweh, Yahuwah. An accurate presentation of the name as guided by his Torah, instructions. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 4:5. Why Eliah? Why not Yeshaya, Yirmiah, or Zechariah? They had a whole lot more to say about what we are witnessing. Why not Moshe? No one knew the Torah better. Shamuel, the Shafot turned Nabi who introduced us to Daud, the returning Mashiach, would have been a great choice. So, what was there about Eliah that distinguished him? The answer is simple, he was quick-witted and sharp-tongued. He no doubt kept the Almighty in stitches with his irreverent humor and biting sarcasm. He had the courage and good sense to give the religious and political establishments a tongue-lashing. Eliah pulled no punches. He took on the Lord Baal, all of his religious advocates, queens, kings, and their armies, without breaking a sweat. He is the perfect guy for this occasion. Eliah's claim to fame wasn't his prophecy but, instead, his ability to cut the religious, political, and conspiratorial off at their knees. In a world where the attention span is constrained to a soundbite, God chose wisely. He will eviscerate the rabbis. 357 He will turn and reconcile, Shub, will arrive to change the thinking, perspective, and attitude and thereby restore the hearts, Lab, the inclinations and motivations, the thinking and the feelings of fathers, Ab, to sons, Al-Ben, and hearts of sons to their fathers, Wale ben al-Abhem, lest, Pen, I come, bow, and strike, Wanaka, smite and afflict, the land, Eres, the earth, region, and material realm, which had been dedicated as a gift, Charam, which had been devoted but is now disfigured. Malachi, my messenger, Malachi 4:6. When it comes to our walk away from religion and politics, Shub is the operative term. We must change our thinking and perspective before we can return to God. It remains amazing how overwhelming a father's influence is over his children. At a rate of over 8 in 10, sons follow their father's footsteps and ascribe to the same religious denomination, political party, and conspiratorial notions. This has never been more evident than with the Haredim. No matter how well we do our jobs, no matter how cleverly Eliah phrases his retorts, Yahweh is returning on Yowm Kipurym in year 6000 year, at 6:20 p.m. in Yaruwshalaim on October 2, 2033. The single determining factor as to whether you are greeted with an open and welcoming hand or the back of the hand is whether or not you were willing to listen. Charam has a wide range of meanings. it speaks primarily of that which is set apart unto Yahweh and, thus, devoted and special. But in that this is the day of contrasts, Charim can address something which is banned because it has become common through religious use. So now we know, Yahweh has promised to return on the day of reconciliations to restore his family. On that day, the heart of the father will be reconciled with his 358 children, and the hearts of sons will be reconciled with their father. We will be family? By way of review, our Heavenly Father shared. Please pay especially close attention because, Kyhine, the day, Ha-Yawm, will arrive, Vo, when it will transpire, Wahaya, that a fiery light will burn, Va, like, Ka, the flaming light of a lamp for some and a furnace for others, Ha-Tanyo. Those who are presumptuous and arrogant, self-reliant and self-motivated, Z, in addition to all who engage in, Wa-Shurlasar, that which is wicked and wrong, Risha, will become worthless stubble, Cash, which will be set ablaze, burned up, and consumed, Lahateth-hem. This day, Ha-Yawm, which is coming, Ha-Bo, says Ma, Yahweh, Yahowah, of the heavenly helpers, Zaba, there will not be left behind, Ashalo-Azab, for them, Lahem, a sucker, Sorsh, or stem, Anaf. Malachi 4-1. So, then, Wah, she will appear, shining brightly, illuminating and enlightening, Wazaruk, for you to approach, La Atom, who respect, my name, Shem-Eni, as brilliant as the sun, Shemesh, vindicating and acquitting, Zardaka, while healing and restoring, Wamafi, with the hem of her garment, Bar-Kanafai. Come out, Yatsa, and leap, frolicking, Push, like, calves, having come full circle, Egel, from being restrained in a stable, Marbek. Malachi 4-2. Then, Wah, you will tread upon, Ozus, the wicked, Raza, because, they will be, higher, insignificant ashes, Ephah, under, Takath, the soles of your feet, Kaf Regal Atom, during, Bar, the day, Ha-Yawm, which, Asher, I am going to engage, Eniasar, says, Amar, 359 Yahowah, of the assembled spiritual envoys, Zaba. Malachi 4-3. Remember, Zakar, Moshe, my associates, Ebed-Eni, Torah, source of guidance and teaching, Torah, which, to lead to the benefits of the relationship and along the path to get the greatest joy out of life, Asher, I instructed and directed, Zawa, through him, Ethu, upon, Bar, Korib, the cutting edge and dividing line, Korib, on behalf of all Yisrael, Al-Shul Yisrael, including the prescriptions which cut you into the relationship, Cook, and the means to execute good judgment regarding resolving disputes, Mishpat. Malachi 4-4. Look, Yine, I, Anki, will send out, Shalak, on your behalf, La Atameth, Eliah, Eliak, the prophet, Hanabi, to come, La Bo, before, Hannah, the great, Hagadal, and awesome, Wah-Ha-Yer, day, Yawm, of Yahweh, Yahowah. Malachi 4-5. He will turn and reconcile, changing the thinking, Shub, and the hearts, Lab, of fathers, Ab, toward sons, Al-Ben, and hearts of sons to their fathers, Walab ben Al-Abhem, lest, Pen, I come, Bo, and strike, Wanaka, the land, Erez, which had been dedicated as a gift, Charim. Malachi 4-6.